I said E-guy.
That needs to be a promo as well.
It's time to get you up to speed on all things sports.
Yes! Yes! Yes!
With plenty of nonsense in between.
Oh, look! Here comes our fearless producer!
Gwynn and Chris starts right now on 97.3 The Fan.
What is up, San Diego? Welcome into Gwynn and Chris on this Tuesday afternoon. Tony Gwynn Jr. Chris Ello, I believe, is here and all checked in his computer, no problems. Well, at least very few problems today. But Chris is also here with us, taking you for our last 4-hour show of the week. Gwynn and Chris, at least, will be off the rest of this week, returning on Monday. But nonetheless, welcome in. Chris, how are you today, my friend?
Well, Tony, I mean, obviously left after the show last night and red-eye flight down to my homeland, Miami, Florida, where I feel, very comfortable. But we were only there at the airport for a little while and then on into Cancun, which is wonderful and beautiful, but obviously no sleep all night. So I'm a little wiped out, but nothing like a San Diego State men's basketball win over a ranked team to fire me up and put me in a hell of a good mood.
Yeah, not just a ranked team, and not just beating a ranked team, but spanking a ranked team. And it came off the heels of, I thought, which was a great effort against Gonzaga, but definitely ended up shorthanded. And to come out and play the way they did, I get Creighton was missing one of their guys, but all in all, I thought that the Aztecs pushed them around. They were tougher. Defense was, I think, what we've grown accustomed to seeing. And, Miles Bird had it rolling, especially in that first half. Backcourt was really what it was for the Aztecs today as they won that game by 18 points, Chris.
I love it, man. B.J. Davis had a big game, and you're right, the backcourt dominated. You got B.J., you got Miles Bird, you got Nick Boyd.
Yeah.
Those three guys are playing great basketball, and, Guath and the young guys underneath held their own. I say it almost every November or December, Tony. It's just a gift that keeps on giving. I mean, the Padres go into the offseason, and I think all of us feel a little kind of empty. What are we going to watch? What are we going to keep an eye on? And then Brian Dutcher's team comes along, and it looks like they're ready to give us another great season. I agree with you. The Gonzaga game, they're outmanned. I mean, Gonzaga is fantastic, but the Aztecs were missing 2 starters. I mean, Miles Bird played, but he was hardly himself. And, obviously you're not ready at this point to beat Gonzaga, but, to go in and a week later and just dominate a ranked team. Creighton was in the top 15 last week. I think they were 21 today. This just gets me excited for Aztec basketball again. And, these guys, these coaches, Brian Dutcher and his staff, they do an amazing job. And
yeah,
if they're this good, Tony, after 4 games, right, how much better can they get over the next 4 months?
I mean, we've been down this road, it seems like, with this team. Different teams, but some of the same conversation, right? It's kind of a wait and see. And I think Coach Velasquez kind of put it very succinct last time he was on. He said it's not so much that we got a bunch of young guys. It's just we have guys that haven't played a lot with one another. And,
right.
And so that could vary in length of time until it settles in right. If today was a sign that it is moving in the right direction, it seems like it was a huge step forward because, as I said, they kept that Gonzaga game close, but never really threatened to actually make a run. They looked like they were, and a lot of the things that were said at that time was, we got to get some more time together, get back in the gym. Well, it looked like they were in the gym. I mean, they looked very cohesive for a group that has spent very little regular season time together.
Yeah, this was their 4th game. That's it. I mean, they played, the one preseason secret game against UCLA that isn't such a secret, and then they play Cal State San Marcos. They play UCSD. They play, Occidental College, which is basically just a scrimmage.
Yeah.
So in a lot of ways, this is only their second real game, and maybe third. I think UCSD is obviously a good team, but I mean, it's so impressive what they're able to do, and I hope that they get another chance at Gonzaga. It'll be way down the road, obviously, but I think Gonzaga was way better than they are right now. But I never put it past the Aztecs to improve dramatically. And confidence-wise, this is a huge thing, Tony. You talk about it in athletics and sports, but, it's one thing to work hard, but if you work hard and go out and get beat, you're not sure what you're doing is really right.
Right.
But when you're working hard and you get the payoff like today, that just makes you want to go back and keep going.
Yeah, no doubt. When I saw most of the second half, and that stretch as they came out, where they got 6 straight possessions with buckets, I think a couple threes from Miles Bird, it was extremely impressive because they had a great first half, and then they just stretched it out. And you saw some of the ingredients that you've seen in some of the previous teams, some high-powered scoring, followed with some good defense. Guav had a big block later on in that half to kind of really start to allow for the Aztecs to kind of pull away at that point. It was I just thought it was a very impressive performance coming off of the Gonzaga performance, and we'll have a chance later on to speak with Mark Zeigler a little bit about this victory. I'm sure I believe he's in the building. He's in Vegas at those games, so we'll get a chance to talk to him who was up there up close and personal with this ball club.
I just want to say that, normally when a show gets underway, me and Skraby are at each other's throats. And I could already see the look on his face when you talked about me getting connected today because everything went very smoothly, even though he still rolled his eyes. But
well,
you know
you
what?
still can't hear me on your end, which is the strangest part of it all.
I hear you right now.
Yeah, because you're connected to a special app that we have.
Okay. Well, anyway. Here's what I wanted to do. I wanted to throw out an olive branch, and I want to welcome Mr. Skraby to the Aztec family. Look at how he's adorned today,
He
Tony.
is. He's got the
representing
gear
over there. So I'm very excited and proud to have him. I mean, obviously he's not going to have his 49ers to root for this year in December, so you can be an Aztec, Skraby, if you want to be.
It's funny, Chris, is I went into the barber shop today. Took my son.
Oh boy.
To get a little,
yeah.
Took my son to get a little trim up, and I saw Skraby's fellow 49er fan, and I have to tell you, Skraby is far more upbeat than my man DJ was today.
Did you tell him the division is right there?
He was sad. I mean, he said his words, sticking a fork in them. They're done.
I don't disagree, but the division is right there. It's right there.
I couldn't even poke fun at him the way I wanted to. That's how sad
we're not used to this.
He was so sad. And so Skraby, coming to work to see Skraby is on the much more positive side of many Niner fans right now. So I find that to be...
I don't know if it's quite time to stick a fork in the 49ers, but the 49ers are certainly at the dinner table, and they're surrounded by
getting close. It's getting close.
They're surrounded by forks? Is that what you said?
Yeah.
Yeah.
See, the thing is, they're 5-6 right now. They win out. They're 11-6 on the season. That makes the playoffs. Even if they lose another one, they can go 10-7. I think that makes the playoffs. If they get to 8 losses, thinking it's over at that point.
I keep hearing the name, I believe, Quentin Johnson today.
Quentin Johnston.
Johnston, yeah.
Yes.
I keep hearing.
Why, Tony?
I don't know. I didn't watch Monday Night Football,
know.
but I know he plays for the Chargers. What happened? Did he?
He dropped another one right in his bread basket. And
I've heard his name with some anger behind it on multiple occasions today, just kind of in passing.
So I was texting our guy Will and Thomas this morning, huge Charger fans, and I said, How many times has Quentin Johnston dropped a pass? It seems like from all the Chargers fans, 50. And Thomas wrote back 4 or 3, and this was 4 or something like that. And then Will goes, no, it was like 54. So the fans don't see that he doesn't drop every single pass.
But he's apparently dropping some important
ones. It was
ones.
right in his face mask. It bounced off his face.
And then the Ravens went down and scored right behind that, I believe. So wasn't a great day for the Chargers fans who went into that game feeling pretty good about themselves. Lamar Jackson had a good game. Derrick Henry had a good game. So Padre news. Now, I saw this today, Skraby. I don't know. Kirby Yates, one of the free agents.
I've been seeing this name bubble.
Available. Padres. Should the Padres entertain a reunion? I mean, I just don't know that it's a priority at this point.
Setup guy. He had a great year last year.
Yeah, well, yes. Kirby's, I think, full year removed last year from Tommy John and bounced back at a terrific season.
He had a 3.3 WAR, since we love that statistic on this show.
Actually, we don't love that statistic, so you should not use it so
He
much.
had 33 saves. He was 7-2. His ERA was 1.17. His WHIP was .827 in 61 2/3 innings pitched. I say, get him back here right now.
Yeah, get as many relievers as you can. I mean, that was the secret to their success last year. I agree with you, Tony. It's not a priority because you have spots that you absolutely have to fill. But having that kind of bullpen, gives you the ability to not be totally set at every other position.
I wonder, part of me wonders, is it possible to have that deep of a pin for a full season? Remember, Padres traded to get that deep of a pin, so they only really had it for the last 2 months. Can you have or do you want a season where you have the pin that you want, when you may be able to strengthen it the way you did during this past season?
Is it fair? Is it fair at all if I were to say, and what I'm going to answer to that is, I think it would be great to start the season with a little deeper bullpen. I think it's almost not out of the realm entirely to say the fact that they had such a weak bullpen the first 2.5 months of last season. De Los Santos and the Wandy Peralta. I mean, these guys just were not getting the job done night in and night out. Leads were getting away. And they fell so far behind the Dodgers. I mean, that's really when they lost the division, was in April and May and June.
Point.
And then once they strengthened it, they made their run. Obviously, a lot of other things had to come into play. And, Manny got hot the second half, et cetera. But, I think A.J. Preller saw that. And I think it would be wise to make sure that you don't let things slip like you did last year in April and May.
Who is, without Tanner Scott on the team, who's the backup closer? Because I don't think
Estrada, probably.
Okay. I don't think Robert
Jason
Suarez.
Adam?
Jason Adam, maybe.
Jason Adam, maybe.
I don't think Robert Suarez went on the IL once last year.
And that's the other thing,
They got lucky, or not lucky, but it was fortunate that he never went on the IL.
The bullpen outside of Peralta, I think Estrada got sick for a little bit there.
Oh, I see.
They really didn't have any major injuries in that. Now, they had obviously significant injuries in the starting rotation, so I guess it all evens itself out. But, a lot for as bad as the, 24 innings of baseball, last 24 innings of baseball was for the Padres, they had a lot go right as well, in terms of health is what I'm speaking on. I mean, outside of the starters, you were able to, I think, things go your way for a little bit. You know what I'm saying?
But I was thinking back. I mean, you can go back to that Korea series.
To your point, though, Chris, that's a great point. I mean, maybe, you have a stronger bullpen to begin last year. Maybe you had a chance to win that division.
Yeah, I mean, I correct me if I'm wrong, Tony, but the 8th inning guy at the beginning of last season was Johnny Brito. And I'm not trying to knock Johnny Brito, but he wasn't.
I think you're
Tanner
right. That
Scott.
First game in Korea, you think you're
right.
I think
he wasn't
right.
Tanner Scott, and Enyel De Los Santos certainly wasn't Jason Adams. So, I mean, they got incredibly better, at the trade deadline this year. Hopefully, they can do it from the beginning. I like how we're just assuming Kirby Yates is coming. We've already kind of just made it sound like it's a done deal.
He loves it here.
I think it's a great name, and it's a perfect fit. And I can't think of a better guy either, Tony. He's a perfect, clubhouse complement to this
Yeah.
team. Kirby
He would
is
fit right in with
just
the,
a
with the
superior
staff.
guy.
Yeah, for sure.
Oh man, the Padres went through it in the first game in the bullpen. They went Darvish for 3 2/3. Tom Cosgrove relieved Darvish for 2/3. De Los Santos had an inning. Matsui had 2/3. Wandy Peralta had an inning. Brito had a third of an inning.
Brito pitched because they were losing, right, at that point. Yeah.
Morihone, no, he blew the save.
Brito
Morihone and
did.
Estrada. Yes, Brito blew
Brito
the
did.
save. So there you go.
Yeah.
It looked a lot different at the end, I guess, huh?
It looked a lot different.
A lot different.
right,
Where the heck did Tom Cosgrove go?
He came back up at time. He went down,
he
came back
he
up.
was he was in and out.
Yeah.
He was like a major part of that bullpen in
Again,
2023.
it speaks to what we're talking about. The volatility of bullpen arms. I mean, Tom Cosgrove was had some of the best numbers in all of Major League Baseball last year, and he ends up kind of going up and down last year, and that could be any one of the guys in that bullpen. That's how volatile those arms are. All right, let's get to break. We have I was trying to get us off at like 14, but
That was my fault.
Skraby
It's a
extended
holiday
the
week,
conversation.
and,
Let's get to break. On the other
talking
side,
about Kirby Yates.
we talk a little bit more about Kirby Yates, but also a little potpourri in the NFL. Some different things going on in there. More Gwynn and Chris on the other side.
I never planned on being in an accident, but that truck didn't stop. I gotta call the Barnes firm.
All right, welcome back to Gwynn and Chris. International edition of the show today. A show so big it can't be contained by one country. Tony Gwynn Jr., Matt Skraby in our Odyssey Palace studios in San Diego. Chris Ello here from lovely Cancun. If you're watching on the YouTube stream, and for those of you who still are not yet aware, we can always watch the show on YouTube. Just go to YouTube, Scrape.
Yes.
And search Gwynn and Chris.
Search 97.3 The Fan.
Every time I say this, you tell me I say it wrong, so that's why I'm just
No, you just go to YouTube, you search 973 space the space fan, and you'll find it.
All right, perfect. You can watch us at work. If you see me like this on the YouTube stream, it's because the swimming pool is outside my window here, Tony.
Wow.
There's a lot of people frolicking and enjoying the resort lifestyle out there.
There's that word again.
Frolicking.
Frolicking.
Frolicking, yes.
That's
what
I don't think that was
Go
a good
ahead,
thing
Scraby.
to
I want to
admit,
talk. Before we
Chris.
get back to it, I got to hear what you did today.
Oh. I feel really bad about something I did today. There's actually two things that I did today. This morning was a very guilt-ridden morning for me. And the first one is I was walking my dogs this morning, and they were off leash.
Your dogs were off leash?
Yes.
You're that guy, huh?
There was no...
Okay.
Okay, the answer is yes.
Good to know.
Answer is yes.
Okay.
There was no
You're
one in the
that
park.
guy.
When we got there, I took them off the leash so they can go sniff, and I'll be independent, all that stuff. Well, this lady came up the walkway, and my dog saw her dog and went over to say hi to the dog. And everything was fine. No, like, snarling or anything like that. But she was clearly annoyed with me. And I walked right up to her. I said, I am really sorry. This is completely my fault. I know I should have him on a leash. I apologize.
That's how you said it right there?
Yeah, the first time. And then
Can I just ask a quick question? Do you let go of the leash, or do you take the leash off?
I take the leash off, but I leave it on their harness, or I leave their harnesses on, so I could just quickly clip them if I need to. But she turned to me and she goes, "That doesn't make it okay to have your dogs off the leash if you're apologizing." And I said, "Okay, that was a little passive aggressive, just like that." And she goes, "Passive aggressive? How am I passive aggressive for you doing things wrong?"
Oh.
And I said, "Whatever," just like that. And I clipped him. I'm going on my way. She goes, "You're just going to walk away after saying whatever?" And I said, "Yeah, whatever."
Did that last part really happen?
Yes.
Did she really say,
She's
"You're just gonna
screaming
walk
at me
away
as I'm trying to walk away.
after saying whatever?
And so I turned around. And I told her, "Shut it." I was like, "Stop talking." Just like that.
Okay, yeah.
You said shut it?
No, I said, "Stop talking."
No, you didn't.
I did.
No, you did not.
I was very angry. Because I went over there to apologize
Stop
to her.
talking. You know what? The funny thing is, I was siding with you until we got to this last part, right?
I was too. I was siding with you as well.
I was on your side.
Let me tell you.
Sounds like this lady was completely out of pocket, honestly.
I was on your side until you went beyond where I could be on your side anymore.
Yes, I went over the line when I said, "Stop talking!" Well, about 20 seconds after this interaction, as you guys know, my conscience starts to come into play. And I start feeling really terrible about what I just did.
Whoa. I don't know anything about this conscience. When did this conscience show up?
Oh, it's always been there. I'm a recovering alcoholic. I have to make amends.
Chris, have you seen this conscience before? I've missed this conscience.
Tony, here's something you may not know about Skraby. Just about every time after he gets in an argument with me and says a bunch of stupid stuff, he sends me an email apologizing. Yes, he does this all the time.
Okay, all right.
I have a whole pile of those at home.
I don't like to be this guy. I don't. But I get crazy sometimes, and I said that to her. So then I thought, maybe I should go back and apologize. So I kind of
She
turned
might have
around.
called the cops on you if you saw it.
I turned around and I went to go look for her. I couldn't find her. I was like, all right,
Good.
I'm just going to take this and think about it all day. So if you're out there and you're listening, I'm very sorry.
She's not out there.
I'm very sorry.
She's definitely not listening. I can promise you that.
It's not something that I am proud of. I've actually really been beating myself up over this one today. And
I think you should. I'm going to honestly stick up for you a little bit. You shouldn't beat yourself up because I think what you said at the end was over the line.
Yeah, it was
But
a little aggressive.
Basically, this all happened, I think, because of her poor reaction.
No, I'm not gonna put that on her because it's the rule, and I call out people who don't follow the rules.
Yes, you do, Skraby.
So I am.
You would be a hypocrite.
I
or you were
am
being a hypocrite.
100% at fault here. I think what bothered me the most is that she didn't accept the apology. Because normally when people's dogs go crazy and I tell them, keep your dogs away.
That's initially why I was on your side, is because you immediately went, even though you broke the rules you shouldn't have, you went and apologized immediately.
Yeah.
And, or at least once you sensed that she was annoyed with you, you went and apologized.
I was at
and
fault.
Skraby, did your dogs do any damage to her dogs?
No, God, no.
Okay.
No,
Yeah.
they were just sniffing each other.
She just wanted to give you the business
Yeah.
about having your dogs off. But then
She did.
But then you lost high ground when you were like, "Shut up!
Stop talking!
You lost the high ground at that point.
I did, and I realized this. I basically
Skraby doesn't understand how it is to be on the high ground, Tony. He's not there very often.
The reason I wanted to get that out is because I needed to admit that I was in the wrong. And so now I'm trying to right this wrong. If I see her, I've never seen her before, so maybe she's just visiting or something like that.
I don't know if I want to see her if I was you. The way you just yelled at her before you walked off, she might be like literally scared of you. Like,
I wasn't threatening. I just was
saying,
walking off
shut
and I
up!
said, stop talking. I wasn't like,
stop talking!
I was like, come over here, stop talking. I wasn't like that.
I'm just saying.
And then I get home and I check my email.
Oh, this one right here is also pretty good. I must say.
I check my work email, and there's an email. Actually, I should probably just go pull it up real quick because the title of the email.
Now we know you got a couple hustles. Go on. You got a couple hustles. We're talking about here.
We're talking
Odyssey.
about Odyssey.
All right.
So the title of the email is "Stuffing the Refrigerator." And it goes all into about how someone stuffed a cardboard box containing Mr. Lane's roasty salsa in the fridge. The problem was that whoever did this did not check to see if the door was closed. The box overhung the shelf by about 5 inches, thus holding the door open. There's a big difference between that.
You weren't even close.
Some of the
5
food
inches.
items this morning were at 78 degrees. I threw everything away. Sorry about that. Hopefully we don't need a new compressor because that costs over $2,000 and a new fridge costs over $4,000. Please keep in mind your actions affect others. This is coming off of me and
Tell
the lady.
to shut up.
Stop talking.
Oh, stop talking. Sorry.
Yeah, I think that last line is pretty telling, Skraby.
Yes, it is.
You got to start realizing that your actions affect others.
Chris, you shouldn't throw stones at the glass house, okay? I immediately, again, fessed up to it. I emailed JR, and I said, I'm really sorry. This was me.
Did he send the email to you, or did he send it to everyone?
Here's the real question. Now, did everyone send?
No, I just sent it back to him.
You just sent it back to him.
Yeah.
So you didn't want to admit it to everybody. You just wanted JR to know.
Funny you say that. Because when I emailed JR, he wrote back, he was like, yeah, I'm hoping the fridge works, but thank you for saying something. Thank you for taking responsibility
I think
for
everybody
this.
really should know why their day is inconvenienced by you.
Well, there's no one in here, so.
Well, I'm just saying, if there was someone in here, I think it would be a perfect time
And I
for you
said,
to...
JR, I'm going to email the entire building, and I'm going to tell them that I did it.
I think that would have been...
And he said, don't worry about it. It's okay. You're all good.
I'm just saying, if you were really worth your salt, you'd do it on your own.
So I yelled at a woman during the dog walk today, and I almost broke the fridge at work.
You might have. We don't know if it actually works yet.
That's true.
So
we don't.
That 4,000.
It might be in the other room.
That 4,000 might make you a little lighter.
I'm sorry? You're thinking I'm going to pay for this fridge?
I mean,
You may have to pay a little
you
closer
broke it.
attention in the Daily Gambit today.
I think there's something called like insurance that probably comes into play here.
I'm just saying.
Workplace insurance. I don't know.
I hope so. I hope so for your
Because
sake.
when I left, I put the box inside the fridge.
Yeah, but 5
and
inches.
then I closed
5
it.
inches isn't even close.
I closed it, and it closed. It must have popped open when I walked away.
Must have. All right, let's get to break. The crazy adventures of Matthew Skraby's is
red
over
now.
for today. Let's get to break. Are you? Is there a Fantabulous or not? A
I can't do
Fantabulous?
it. I can't do it.
Oh, you can. I think you should. After your day of, being a heathen, we should definitely allow you to get your face whooped at some Chris's Fantabulous Sports games.
Fine.
More Gwynn and Chris on the way.
Ben and Woods on the Fan.
Always a pleasure to welcome.
There's a Roadrunner. Meet me. He doesn't like me. I guess I wouldn't like me either if I was chasing me. As you can see, I'm all Aztec out here at the Aztec baseball tournament. It's the SDSU baseball alumni tournament. Right now, we are 1 under in the scramble, and Chris is playing well, Tony's playing well, but our ringer, Jack Townsend, is playing really well, so. So Chris says that he can't play golf, but this is the second birdie putt he's made for us. This time it was like 20 feet.
Thank you very much, Skraby. But once again, you're hitting some very nice shots as well. I'm not usually complimentary to you, but I can't help but be complimentary. Your shot making today.
With my what?
Your shot making. You've hit some.
We are league 10 now, and it's getting really windy. It's actually kind of cold. I'm not gonna lie, I know we're in San Diego, but we're 3 under as a group. We just got off a birdie, and I just hit my defense. There's a squirrel. He wants to attack me. Squirrely! We just got our second birdie of the day thanks to this guy.
Yeah, a 4-footer after.
It was a 5-footer.
After our pro drove it 300 to the front of the green and then chipped it within 5 feet.
Uh-oh.
Skraby, don't feed the animals.
Don't feed the animals. I do feed animals, but Chris made a birdie putt. Leaving the golf course. And we ended up shooting 63 once everything was accounted for, since it was a scramble, and we had an SDSU golf player, Jack Townsend. He was with us, and he did a lot for us. I think we shot 63 because of him, but we all had a good time. There's a Roadrunner. Meet me. He doesn't like me. I guess I wouldn't like me either if I was chasing me. As you can see, I'm all Aztec out here at the Aztec baseball tournament. It's the SDSU baseball alumni tournament. Right now, we are 1 under in the scramble, and Chris is playing well, Tony's playing well, but our ringer, Jack Townsend, is playing really well, so. So Chris says that he can't play golf, but this is the second birdie putt he's made for us. This time it was like 20 feet.
Thank you very much, Skraby. But once again, you're hitting some very nice shots as well. I'm not usually complimentary to you, but I can't help but be complimentary. Your shot making today.
With my what?
Your shot making. You've hit some.
We are league 10 now, and it's getting really windy. It's actually kind of cold. I'm not gonna lie, I know we're in San Diego, but we're 3 under as a group. We just got off a birdie, and I just hit my defense. There's a squirrel. He wants to attack me. Squirrely! We just got our second birdie of the day thanks to this guy.
Yeah, a 4-footer after.
It was a 5-footer.
After our pro drove it 300 to the front of the green and then chipped it within 5 feet.
Uh-oh.
Skraby, don't feed the animals.
Don't feed the animals. I do feed animals, but Chris made a birdie putt. Leaving the golf course. And we ended up shooting 63 once everything was accounted for since it was a scramble, and we had an SDSU golf player, Jack Townsend. He was with us, and he did a lot for us. I think we shot 63 because of him, but we all had a good time. There's a Roadrunner. Meet me. He doesn't like me. I guess I wouldn't like me either if I was chasing me. As you can see, I'm all Aztec out here at the Aztec baseball tournament. It's the SDSU baseball alumni tournament. Right now, we are 1 under in the scramble, and Chris is playing well, Tony's playing well, but our ringer, Jack Townsend, is playing really well, so.
This hour on 97.3 The Fan is brought to you by Buffalo Wild Wings. Buffalo Wild Wings is football. Head to your local Buffalo Wild Wings and try their new maple chipotle sauce for rich maple sweetness and a mild smoky chipotle heat. Or, for a bit of kick, check out their new Cajun sauce for a rich blend of spicy and tangy pepper sauce. Stop by San Diego B-Dubs or order now for takeout and delivery with Buffalo Wild Wings. Go. Excuse me. Oh, something stuck in my chest there.
You need to go to the hospital? I know you pick me up often when I go eat too many crackers.
Yes, pita bread is getting me today. Skraby, are you ready for some Fantabulous sports games? So I know you're having a rough day. This might make it rougher. It might not, though. You could pull off a victory. How many you got this year?
3?
That's up
4, maybe?
I think it's about 4.
That's not bad. We're in November.
It might be
That's
5,
good.
actually.
We're in November.
I mean, you have certainly made this a better season than last. Or I think you only got 1. Or was it 2?
I don't even remember. I
think
blocked that all out.
It was 1 or 2.
You have to go to my Fantabulous reference page to see what my record is.
Chris, what kind of Fantabulous sports game show are we having today?
Well, I got a category that I think Skraby should be very, very good at.
There you go.
I know that you're going to be very good at this one, Tony.
Oh.
But I'm pretty sure Skraby, if he's all he says he's cracked up to be, he ought to be very good at this category. So we will find out in today's Fantabulous sports game show.
Hey, all you beautiful people out there, it's time to play one of our favorite games of the week.
All right!
We like to call it...
Ooh, I'm gonna go.
Chris's Fantabulous Sports Game Show! And it starts right now on 97.3 The Fan.
All right, welcome to it, Fantabulous Sports Game Show. By the way, I want to send all condolences out to a fellow all-time classic game show host who passed a couple of days ago, Chuck Woolery of Love Connection fame. And he was also the very first host of Wheel of Fortune before Pat Sajak took over. So sorry to hear that about Chuck Woolery. All right, welcome to our game show. I am your host, and Tony and Skraby will be our contestants today. But the fun thing about this is that you can play along out there, see how many correct answers you can come up with. I will give the category. And today, guys, there are 23 correct answers. Count them, 23 correct answers. And Tony and Skraby will take turns naming off correct answers until one of them reaches 12 correct, or one of them misses on 3 guesses, in which case they strike out and lose the game in that way. Oh, you need a category.
Yes.
Tony, I know you're good at this because you're a baseball guy.
Uh-oh.
Skraby, you should be good at this because you are a self-proclaimed
I knew this was where this was going.
fantasy baseball champion.
The champ is here.
Yes, I am.
2-time, not just once. You've won it
double
twice.
champ is here.
The double champ, the triple champ if you include my fantasy football.
We're not.
win.
We're talking baseball right now, buddy. Double
All right,
champ.
so
Double
you
champ.
should be good at this, Skrabe.
Let's hope.
There are 13 players in the American League, 10 in the National League, for a total of 23, who last season hit 30 or more home runs.
Oh, gosh.
30 or more
So
home
we're in the
runs.
2024 seasons, 30
Yes,
or more
the
home
one
runs.
just completed.
Okay.
Correct. So that's it. That's today's category. How many of those 23 sluggers can you guys name in the Fantabulous Sports Game Show today? Skraby, it is your option whether you'd like to go first.
I always go for it. Doesn't really matter, honestly, where I
It
go.
doesn't
It
matter.
doesn't matter what your name is. I'll go first.
I'll go first.
I'll go with Shohei Ohtani.
I believe he made 30. That is correct. Finished with a total of 54, by the way. So that's one. Tony, your chance to equalize.
I think your favorite player, my favorite player, Juan Soto.
Juan Soto is correct. 41 home runs for Mr. Soto this year. 1-1, we're underway. Skraby, your turn.
Well, I will go to the guy who disappeared during the World Series and dropped a pop fly, Aaron Judge.
Yeah. Getting a little shot in at Aaron Judge while you can, huh, Skrabe?
Gotta take it out
I
on
saw
someone.
that. All right, 2-1 for Skraby. It is Tony's turn. Looking for players that hit 30 or more home runs last year.
Man, I don't know why I'm drawing a blank right now. Oh, Marcell Ozuna.
Marcell Ozuna, correct. He finished second in the National League with 39. So it's 2-2, and it is Skraby's turn.
The guy who won me a fantasy championship, Bobby Witt Jr.
Okay, there we go. You know, the funny thing
Okay,
about Bobby,
here
he
we
hit
go.
32 home runs last year. He might have actually lost somebody else a fantasy championship by not doing quite enough.
Well, then
You know
that
what I mean?
person
Like
had
somebody
a bad
else who's
team.
in a-
that person
in a
had
different
bad team.
situation.
You can't put it all on Bobby's shoulders.
Well, you can't. Well, you're giving him all the credit.
I mean, his July won me. his July hitting 400.
He was special, for sure.
Was just incredible.
No, he's special. Finished second in the MVP balloting ahead of Juan Soto. All right, so it's 3-2 in favor of Skraby. Tony, you need a 30 home run guy last
How
year.
about Yordan
Didn't
Alvarez?
even think about that one.
He's there. 35 home runs for Yordan last year. Another pretty typical season for the Astros slugger. Ties it at 3. There are 17 correct answers. Obviously, it will get tougher as we go. Skraby.
I know he had a great finish to the year. I hope he had over 30 home runs. Vlad Jr.
Vladimir Guerrero
Did he get
Jr.
there?
Did he get
Oh,
there?
gosh.
30, Skraby. He hit 30 right on the money.
Right
That is
on
correct.
the nose.
That was too
Yeah,
close for
he-
comfort, I gotta say.
I don't know when he hit his last home run, but it was pretty close for him. So you are correct, though. You take a 4-3 lead. Tony Gwynn Jr., you're up, sir.
How about Anthony Santander?
Santander, that is the last of the 40 home run guys.
For
I
some
know
reason, I
there's
thought
only
you were
4
doing
guys.
Rendon.
Oh, no. I don't think
Rendon, no, I don't think
I don't think
Rendon
he's
made
been
it.
there in a little bit.
Yeah, there was only 4 guys last year who hit 40 home runs, interestingly.
That is interesting.
The rest of the guys are all in the 30 category. We're tied at 4, and it is Skraby's turn here to try and get the lead back again.
I'm pretty sure this guy had 30-plus home runs. Jose Ramirez.
Oh, he was way over, Skraby.
Okay,
You got
good.
room to breathe there. You
All
had
right, good.
39.
Whoa. Did not
Another
realize he
incredibly
almost hit
good year
40.
for Jose Ramirez that nobody knows about. Tony,
That's what
trying to
happens when
keep
you're
it
playing
going
in
here.
Cleveland. They
Yeah.
they don't get to see it as much. Ketel Marte.
Cattell had 36 last year. Nice year for him.
That is a lot.
That is correct. That ties it at 5-5. There are 13 correct answers remaining. I sense that we're getting closer and closer to a strike somewhere. Let's see who gets it first. Skraby, you're up.
I got two names on here that I'm pretty proud of myself for remembering. And I'm going to use one of them right now. Brett Ricker.
Oh, I was going to use that next.
Who's that?
He plays for the A's,
Former Pod.
Chris.
No,
Yeah.
I
Did
know
you know
who
that
he
he
is.
played for the Padres at some point?
Yes, of course I know he played for the Padres. He hit 39 home runs last year.
That's a
He
lot.
was way up the list.
How many is he going to hit in the
Fantastic.
heat of Sacramento?
That's a great
So
question.
Skraby takes a
That's a great
6-5
question.
lead. There are 12 correct answers remaining. Tony.
I'm pretty sure my man Kyle Schwarber
Oh, no.
got there.
Schwarber at 38. You guys are doing pretty well here. I would say you've named the top 9 correctly. So most of these other ones now are all kind of in the lower 30s. You've left yourself with the tougher ones to get. It is 6-6 with 11 correct answers remaining. No strikes yet. Skraby, the fantasy champ.
Will the real
I'm going with
Skraby
a-
please stand
I'm
up?
going with my other wild card name. Cal Raleigh.
Really?
What?
Yep.
That's not a wild card. That's a good call.
You know why? The other
Wow,
day,
Raleigh.
I don't know why Cal
His
Raleigh's
nickname?
story popped up on my feed.
Big Dumper.
That is
what they
correct,
call him.
Skraby.
Big
34 home
Dumper?
runs for
That is his nickname. And that is
What is
not
it?
made up.
Big Dumper.
Really?
That's a terrible nickname.
If I'm Cal Raleigh, I
look
have
up
to
on his-
try
on
to
his-
get that changed.
His reference, his baseball reference, yes.
Big
Indeed.
Dumper.
Wow.
Okay. We learn something new every day.
Oh, my
right,
God. Well,
Is it my
the
turn?
big dumper has put Skraby ahead. Tony.
I don't know how we didn't get this one, but Pete Alonso.
Pete Alonso,
That is
34
true.
home run
He
season
also
for
was on
him.
my fantasy team. What a
Wow.
loser I am.
Yeah.
Pete Alonso. He helped me lose my fantasy league. I think he needed to do more. All right, we're 7-7. You guys are getting down to the
Come
nitty-gritty.
on,
Only
Scrape.
9 correct
I know
answers
you're running out of
remaining.
air down here.
I am. You're absolutely right on that one.
I got a
I'm
few more in
trying
my
to
back
think.
pocket.
Can you tell us how many AL, NL we have left?
Be happy to, Skraby. You have 4 left in the American League, and you have 5 left in the National League.
5. Who the heck am I missing in the National League? Okay, I'm gonna go with Jake Berger,
Who?
No shot.
guy from the Marlins. He hits a bunch of home runs all the time.
Yeah, I don't have the whole list, but he did not make the 30 mark, Skraby. That is the first strike of the day, Jake Berger.
At least I
Gets
guessed
Skraby
it.
on the board with a strike. Gives Tony a chance to take his first lead of the competition. Tony.
Oh, did you say it? I don't think you said. Gunnar Henderson.
Gunnar Henderson
That
is correct.
So stupid of me.
Didn't he on your
Surprised
fantasy
you missed
team
that
too?
one,
No,
Skraby,
no.
because I know you love that guy. That gives Tony an 8-7 lead. There are 8 correct answers remaining. 3 American, 5 national. Scrabe.
I know Jackson Merrill didn't do it. He had 24. Tony's doing the he's drowning signal. He's not wrong.
You're gasping for air, Scrabe.
He's not wrong.
Dead air is always very good. Entertaining radio.
I'm biting on my finger because I cannot think of Okay, give me a second. Give me a second.
You got a second.
I know he did it a couple years ago. Christian Walker.
Christian Walker did not make it this year with 30 home runs. That's 2 strikes for Scraby.
Tony, you were supposed to
Tony's
throw this
closing
game
in
for
on
my
another
happiness.
victory.
I got 2 more in my pocket. I'm going to use this one because I believe it happened on the last day of the season. Eugenio Suarez.
Eugenio got his 30th home run on the last day of the season.
You know, I thought about him, but he got hurt.
Tony
Not
was
the
there.
last day of the season he didn't.
Cattell Marte got hurt too.
Not the last day of the season he didn't.
Didn't think they had
Well,
enough time
Scraby,
to
you're
hit
in
30.
you're in a dire spot now, Scrabe. You're down 9-7, and you have 2 strikes. There are 7 correct answers remaining.
I don't think the
I mean, I always feel for you, so I'll
Who?
even of the
Pasquatch.
7, 1 is a former Padre.
Oh.
One almost won the MVP award this year. I don't know if that helps you, Scrabe. You got to get a correct answer to stay alive.
Yes, he did.
Former Padre.
I mean, the last one should have really helped.
How about the other guy? Almost won the MVP. That'll be easier to come up with.
I can't think of it. Who was the third person in the MVP race?
I don't know.
Man.
That I can't tell you, Skrabe.
Oh. I did think about him, but I didn't think he had it. But Francisco Lindor?
Yep, that's correct.
Okay.
33 home runs for Lindor.
I didn't think he had 33. That's why I never said him. Thank you.
That keeps you alive, Skrabe.
I just want
Thank
to
you
point
for
out, ladies and
keeping me
gentlemen,
alive.
look at where we've gone to, giving this guy hints to stay in the game. Anyway, how about...
I am going up against a professional major league broadcaster.
Hey, we do plenty of subjects that favor you. Let's go Teoscar Hernandez.
Oh, that's a good one.
Teoscar's correct. He had 33 as well.
That's a good one.
Tony keeps rolling 10-8. There are 5 correct answers left. One is a former Padre. I don't know what else to tell you, Skrabe. You're going to just have to
You
come
don't
up
have
with
to
it.
tell me anything else. You don't have to tell me anything
What
else.
else do you need him to tell you, Skrabe?
Former Padre. We've
Wait a
already
minute.
said-
Just because it'll be fun, I'll give you a clue.
Okay.
One of the guys always turns in a tremendous performance.
This guy wasn't a former Padre. Corey Seager?
Corey Seager's correct. That's not the former Padre, but it is correct.
Keeping me in this game, Chris.
Yeah,
Keeping
you
me in
are.
this game, Chris.
He had 30 home runs. All right, Tony, give me one more.
I'm pretty sure Bryce Harper got to the 3-0 mark.
He finished at 30. That is correct. Bryce Harper.
Oh, gosh.
Tony hasn't missed yet. He's up 11-9. Skrabe, you got to get the last 3 in order to win here. And you got to start with the first one.
I'm just going to end the game right here. 'cause
He
this is
doesn't want
wrong.
anymore. He's tapping out.
Well,
He's throwing in the
I don't know
towel.
all 3 is Manny Machado. I know he didn't make it, but
29 for Manny. That is strike 3. Tony, do you want to hazard a guess on the other 3?
Willie Adames?
Yep.
who's the former Padre?
Hold up. Oh, Naylor?
Josh Naylor.
Did not think he got over 30.
I don't have another one.
The only one you missed, biceps himself, Tyler O'Neill.
Dang it!
I wouldn't have gotten that one. Had no idea. Well, he played for the Red Sox, right?
Yeah. He was healthy this year.
I thought this was supposed
Very
to make
good,
me feel better,
Fantabulous
guys.
game show. Give the man his music, Skrabe.
He's got it popping.
Can you not hear it?
I didn't hear it. Okay, we're coming back. Hour number 2. Gwynn and Chris.
Can I
Stick
go
around.
home?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
of our holiday Thanksgiving Eve program. We will not be on tomorrow, so this is last we get a chance to visit before we head into the holiday. And Tony Gwynn Jr. feasts upon oxtail.
Nom, 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 nom. That's the sound effect from Tony eating his oxtail.
And yes, I will be enjoying some come Thursday.
What was the other crazy? He had a couple of other crazy items too that he ate on Thanksgiving. Or crazy to us, not to him.
I don't remember. But oxtail will never leave me because I had never heard of oxtail until that day.
The rest of our, all of our stuff is traditional to us, but the rest of the stuff is traditional to everybody. And turkey, fried turkey.
Stuffing, cranberries, yams,
all that.
Green bean.
Because I'm in Cancun, I'm expecting tacos and burritos. I don't even know if we'll get turkey this year.
It's fine with me. I'm not a big Thanksgiving food person.
Why not?
Sorry?
Thanksgiving this is a good time to feast.
The only thing I really like for Thanksgiving is the mashed potatoes.
I think fried turkey has kind of ruined it for me a little bit. Like I used to love turkey. Now I won't eat regular turkey as much because the fried turkey is so much better.
Interesting.
It is better
and juicier.
It's a
Thanksgiving is an American holiday only, right? So there's no reason to celebrate it down here.
And Cancun.
Do you guys know what president invented Thanksgiving? I saw this the other day.
Someone who
I'm not going
to
pretend to know to act like I know.
Maybe William Howard Taft.
Why are you saying that? Because he was a little heavy set?
He was portly.
That's cold-blooded.
That was actually Abraham Lincoln.
Oh.
He declared that the final Thursday of every November ought to be a day for Thanksgiving. And so that's how it was invented in 1863.
Do we need to go and do what we're thankful for with each other at 5:20 just to end on a good note?
You better make it a short segment. For
what else do we have to back that segment up? That would go pretty quick.
Okay, fine. Cyrus says there is Canadian Thanksgiving. I've never heard of it, but
well, I'm on the wrong side of the border for that.
Yeah.
We're coming up on the Daily Gambit. If you just tuned in, a big win for the Aztecs basketball team today in Las Vegas. They didn't just win; they blew out 21st ranked Creighton.
Yeah, they did.
71-53. BJ Davis 18 points. Miles Bird had 16. Great win for the Aztecs. They play Oregon tomorrow in Las Vegas. Oregon is losing right now at halftime to Texas A&M by 5, I believe. And the other result that just came in for the second day in a row, Connecticut, two-time defending champs, lose again today. Colorado rallied to beat them 73-72. I don't know how many technical fouls Danny Hurley, the Connecticut coach, had. Tony, did you see his press conference after the game yesterday?
I did.
That was not a good look. Don't you think? Not good.
I mean, if we're playing it down the middle, no. But I think it's fair to say that it comes off and, champions are allowed a little bit more leeway. I do recall many head coaches in our time saying and doing far worse than what Dan did yesterday. But, that being said, it wasn't the greatest look. I mean, I thought personally some of it was funny. The way he was clearly just not happy with the referee, the one particular referee that he was seemingly upset with. But overall,
it was a referee he said he had never seen before. He didn't even know the guy worked at the Division I level.
Right.
So he obviously had no respect for this guy going in.
And that's what I'm saying. That's the part where I felt like he went too far. Like, I didn't have a problem as much him voicing his displeasure with the way the game was called. But then when he went a little beyond that when you start giving the resume of said referee, because he didn't go out of his way to mention. I knew the other two guys, so I was familiar with them, but didn't, as you said, he kind of went down the resume of the.
Did you see the play that he got the technical foul on?
I did not.
I have to tell you, I would have called that a foul every day of the week. His player was way over the back of the Memphis player, and that was where the call was made, and then he got the technical. It cost him the game.
I didn't watch the game, and I guess I would leave it up to you and ask you this question. When the game starts, when you tip off a game, and I don't think it's necessarily intentional, but do referees have to call if they want to set a precedent for it to be a physical game versus a game that's going to be called tightly? Is that tone set early by the referees?
I think good referees do try to set that tone early. You're right.
And I think
they call a lot of hand checks and holding.
Right.
Because you want the game to move freer as it goes along.
And so I think, listening to Dan Hurley talk about it, he felt like that game got out of hand early by how physical they were allowed to play. And so
then when they called that, he was upset.
Apparently that had been happening all game. He just finally got to the point where he fell on the floor.
Fell on the floor.
I mean, this dude this looks like Chris said, looks so bad.
It does.
You're a 2-time champ.
Put it this way.
What are you doing?
I feel like him and J.J. Redick have very similar fires, but one is not falling on the floor. And it's the one that you would expect to be the more polished one.
It's almost like he expects for calls to be made because
he virtually said that in his post-game comments. He said, "I don't know of a 2-time champ that has the game called that way." It's virtually what he was saying.
Yeah, that's exactly it. Well, anyway, he got maybe karma got him today, but UConn lost again today, so we'll be able to keep an eye on their quest for a three-peat. In the meantime, let's get some other winners and losers in our daily gambit.
Do you like money?
I think about money a lot.
Do you like money without doing anything?
Winning.
Do you want to make money while watching sports?
I think Washington is immortal luck.
Washington! Woohoo!
If you answered yes, this is your segment. Just don't blame us when you lose.
Nothing is ever your fault.
It's your game. Take it.
Gwynn and Chris go through the top bets of the day in The Daily Gambit on 97.3 The Fan.
Daily Gambit is our daily sports betting segment here on Gwynn and Chris. Please, everybody, gamble responsibly. Now, I do have a quick question about Abraham Lincoln inventing Thanksgiving. Because I thought about this, but I didn't want to say anything. I want to ask. I thought the Pilgrims invented Thanksgiving.
I don't. Maybe the Pilgrims may have eaten some turkey, but I don't know that they invented the actual.
What are you talking
holiday.
about? That's what the story is every time. Is that the Pilgrims? What was it? The Native Americans and the Pilgrims ate a meal together, and that was the first Thanksgiving.
I don't know that they actually called it Thanksgiving in 1620, though, Skraby.
I heard they had the Macy's Day Parade. I heard they had everything.
Yeah, they had everything, all right.
No, but I'm pretty sure the Pilgrims. I'm gonna look
You're
this
more
up.
than welcome to look it up. I'm telling you the story that I read.
Invented Thanksgiving.
I think it's 3:09, and we need to get to Daily Gambit. Is what I think.
It does say
I
Abraham
think it would
Lincoln.
be more important.
Abraham Lincoln made it a holiday.
That's what Chris said.
I know, but the Pilgrims started it.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, we'll move on. Baltimore Ravens.
Who would you take, Skraby? Abraham Lincoln or the Pilgrims -5?
Abraham Lincoln was no, I'd take the Pilgrims. They came on a boat when things didn't happen very easy for anyone, so they had to make it through a lot. Baltimore -3 over the Chargers last night. We all chose the Ravens. We were all correct. Baltimore won 30-23. The total score in the game was over under 51 points. You guys went over. I went under 53 points.
2-0.
More rushing yards. J.K. Dobbins or Lamar Jackson. We all said Dobbins, and somehow we're all correct because J.K. Dobbins left the game very early. He had 40 yards. Lamar Jackson only had 15 yards rushing.
Lamar was playing pocket passer last night.
Oh, that throw to Rashad Bateman was great.
Money.
All right. Here's a
Did you
bad
see him
one.
almost reinvent his viral clip from high school?
No.
Remember when he's in high school, got the purple uniform on, he comes into Arizona and stops like on a dime. And
Yeah.
He tried to pull that on my man for the Chargers yesterday, but
at the goal line.
At the goal line, but he ended up like kind of grabbing him a little bit, so he didn't completely miss, or we would have had another viral moment.
Clemson -2.5 over the Dons of USF. Chris and I chose USF. Tony chose Clemson. Chris, we lost. Clemson won 70-55. Although USF bounced back with a win today. So
4-0, let's go.
Women's basketball. UConn.
There we go.
Oregon State -37.5 point spread. We all chose UConn. UConn won by 19 points, 71-52. We lose. Celtics -10.5 over the Clippers. You guys chose the Clips. I chose the Celtics. Celtics won by 32 points, 126-94. So that one was easy. Who scores more, Jokic or Brunson?
Come on. Jokic.
You guys said Jokic. I said Brunson. Jokic had 22. Brunson had 23.
The Knicks blew them out. And,
yes, they saw that.
It was very nice to see a humbled. What's the head coach's name? For
Mike Malone.
Mike Malone.
And he ripped his team after that game.
He specifically ripped Jokic, which I don't blame him as much as I do Murray, who has been absent pretty much all year. Jokic is putting up perhaps the best number of his careers right now so far. 30.
I think you got to win at least one NBA championship before you start ripping your guys for effort in the media. I mean, that's been pretty
rules
critical.
out like every coach.
I was about to say that. It's like three coaches
Steve
that
Kerr,
can do it.
Spoelstra. That's all I got right now.
Yes, because they win.
Budenholzer.
Budenholzer. All right. Let's see. Last one. I actually watched this game. Warriors are playing good basketball this year, but they did not play good basketball last night. But the bet was, would Steph have over 4.5 threes or under 4.5 threes? Chris said under. Tony and I said over. He hit 8 threes.
I told you he was about to have that.
8 for 16.
Wow. 16
They
of
were
the
up
boys.
by, I think they were up
They
by
were up big.
16 or 17, and then the
Blew
Nets
it.
came back. And Draymond, I've never seen this before, but are they overly explaining calls now in the NBA? Because the reviews and when the guy...
No, they always do that. They come back
It
and
is a lot.
They give you... That's kind of what my partner, Jesse Agler, is asking for, basically. It's
like to see some baseball do the same thing.
Well, because baseball's too vague, and basketball was like overly technical. His foot was 3 inches behind. It's like, whoa, what is going on here? Anyway, that's it.
At least people know what's going on. All right, couple of good games tonight in college basketball. Duke and Kansas are playing. Duke is actually favored by 3 points, even though Kansas is number 1 in the nation. Skraby, why don't you start here being the college basketball expert that you are?
I love that Duke player. I can't ever remember his first name. His last name is Flagg.
Cooper
Flagg. He is really good. I'm going to say Duke.
You're taking Duke and giving the points.
Yes.
Tony?
I will take my Kansas.
Your Kansas.
Is that a new state?
I don't know.
My Kansas?
I don't know what I was trying to do there, honestly. It didn't go as well as I thought it did in my head.
Welcome to my world, Tony.
Give me Kansas.
I think you were trying to say something along the lines of the sauce for Arkansas, but it didn't quite work out.
It didn't go well at all, actually.
I'm going to take Duke also. I have a good feeling about them. A little NBA tonight. Phoenix -2.5 over the Lakers. This is an NBA Cup game. Keep in mind the Lakers have never lost an NBA Cup game. Tony, do they keep it going?
Of course they do. It's Cup Day. Give
You
me
should
the
have heard
Lakers,
Craig
baby.
Elston and Tony in the hallway changing shows, both yelling out, "It's Cup Day!"
They love the Cup. I'm going to go with Kevin Durant's return, and I'll take Phoenix tonight. Skraby?
I'm going to go Lakers.
All right, who scores more points tonight? Is it Kevin Durant against the Lakers or Zach LaVine for the Bulls against the Wizards on the road? And Tony's first here. Oh, no, you just went first. I'm first. I got to go with my man, Zach, figured Durant eases his way back into the game. All right, Skraby.
I am going to go with Kevin Durant.
Okay, Tony.
I'll take KD as well.
2 KDs. We've got NFL Thanksgiving football. Detroit Lions -10 over the Chicago Bears. And it is my turn. I just think the Lions are going to beat up everybody. I don't even know that they're going to lose another game. I don't see it happening.
Yeah, very.
Who's going to beat them?
Skraby just rolled his eyes in the back of his head when you said that.
I know he did, but
it's true though. I don't see nobody beating them, including the Niners at this point.
I never said anything about the Niners.
Might be a wrap.
Might be a wrap. I'll take Detroit.
Okay.
Skraby?
I'm going to take the Bears.
Yeah, you would.
The Bears.
You always like
10
those
points
well-coached
is a lot.
teams.
Yeah. 10 points is a lot.
Tony?
Yeah, I'm going to take the Bears too.
Oh, I thought you were going Lions.
Wow.
This is,
all right, you guys are just going to hand me that one.
I told you these inter-division matchups never go as we think. And Bears are they played all right the last 2 games. They still don't know how to
who's
win.
going to get more passing yards on Thanksgiving? Jared/Jeff Goff against the Bears or Jordan Love against the Miami Dolphins?
Ooh.
Tony.
Ooh. That Dolphin game is going to be cool.
There's supposedly snow in the forecast.
Give me the bet again.
Who had more passing yards?
Jared Goff passing yardage versus the Bears.
Where
or Jordan Love against the Dolphins.
Is that outdoor
Detroit.
too? It's in Detroit?
Yeah, they always play home on Thanksgiving.
Oh, yeah, give me Detroit. The elements.
You're taking Goff.
Yeah, give me Goff.
I'm going to take Goff as well because Skraby tells me it's snowing in Green Bay Thursday.
It's supposed to.
Okay. Skraby?
I'm going to take Goff as well.
All right. This is the biggest spread in over 50 years in the Ohio State-Michigan game this weekend. Ohio State favored by 20.5.
That's it. Wow, it came down a lot.
And Skraby, you're first.
Watching Ohio State just completely dismantle Indiana tells me I should go with Ohio State.
Ohio State?
Yep.
All right. I'm going to take Michigan just because I really don't like Ohio State. Tony?
I don't
really like Michigan either, but
I too will take the Wolverines.
All right, and I think that's going to do it. We'll see how we do. It's a good sports weekend, obviously Thanksgiving weekend. So there we have it. We'll take a break. We'll check some traffic. More Gwynn and Chris right around the corner.
From the 97.3 The Fan Traffic Center, here's Kelly Danick.
3:24 on the clock. Tony Gwynn Jr., Chris Sello, Matt Skraby. College awards. I don't know if semifinalists, finalists, I'm not sure, but I know they were announced today. And Chris, one Deion Sanders, Coach Prime, as he likes to be called, not happy with Jim Thorpe and his committee. Here's what Deion had to say.
How is Travis Hunter snubbed by the Jim Thorpe Award? You can have my award, you can have it back. Matter of fact, I'm gonna give him mine. I ain't using it, it's just sit up there collecting dust. So Travis could have my Thorpe Award, because if this ain't the most idiotic thing in college football, that he's not a finalist for the Jim Thorpe Award, and he is, I would say arguably, but I don't think it's really an argument about this young man being the best defensive back in college football. I ain't saying nothing about the receiver part of it. I'm just talking about defensive back. He rarely gets thrown at. He's won a game for tackling for us, and he's always on point. So if you bring up the statistics, I don't know how in the world is Travis Hunter not a finalist for the Jim Thorpe Award. They just pretty much messed up all the integrity of the award.
There's the great Deion Sanders, who was, I think, would you say the second or third ever?
He was third, I believe.
Third ever Jim Thorpe Award winner.
Yeah.
Certainly sounds like he'll be taking that Thorpe trophy off its mantle, cleaning it up, dusting it off, because he says collect the dust, and then he's gonna present it to Travis Hunter. Chris, listen, I have to be honest. I had to go and look Jim Thorpe up first to make sure, kind of do my research on what Deion was talking about. It is an award for the best defensive back in the country. I also have to admit I haven't seen all the other defensive backs in the country play. I've only seen about 4 or 5 of Colorado's games. In each of those games, it was pretty apparent that teams were avoiding throwing the ball to his side. But I would assume that based on the conversation around Travis Hunter all season, that Deion has a bone to pick here.
I think he's got a legit gripe, but the problem is it's coming from Travis Hunter's coach, so we don't know for a fact whether or not it's really accurate or not, But having said that, Travis Hunter is very likely going to be a finalist for the Heisman Trophy, and a lot of that is because he's a great defensive player. He's putting up very good offensive numbers, but he's not putting up Heisman Trophy winning offensive numbers. The reason he's going to be a finalist is because he also plays defense. And I think the final thing I would say is that if anybody knows about who a good cornerback is, should it be Deion Sanders? He's probably the greatest one ever to play.
Yeah. I don't know how these things get picked. I assume there's a panel of folks that kind of figure it out, but it's hard to imagine the conversation around Travis Hunter and his skill and him not being up for this award. Now, ultimately, this won't be the first time there's a deserving candidate left off as a finalist, but
I have a theory.
What's your theory?
You proved it to me, saying that you had to go look up the award. Everybody in the country now is going to be talking about the Thorpe Award, and it's going to be top of mind for people. This may have been a marketing attempt to get the Thorpe Award back at the top. Because you didn't know what it was. That's their main problem. No one knows what the Jim Thorpe Award is.
That's the best
you got. You know what? You know that my wife ought to love you as much, if not more, than she loves me, because she's a marketing expert. And according to you, everything on this planet is marketing.
Well,
so my wife ought to be singing your praises daily.
How do we get someone to talk about the Jim? Okay, we're the Jim Thorpe people.
We're the Jim Thorpe people. All right.
Hey guys, no one cares about our award. No one even knows that our award's around. How do we get people to care and talk about our award? Oh, I got it. We'll just get Deion to make fun of us. Boom.
Okay, that's not fair to say that marketing people talk like that.
Yeah, I don't know how likely that is, Scrape. I know it's right up your
I'm trying to give the Jim Thorpe people some credit because this is just idiotic, as Dion said. So come on.
Well, we will wait and see how that shakes out. Meantime, let's get to break. On the other side, Mark Zeigler, San Diego Union Tribune, joins us after that beatdown that the Aztecs were able to put on Creighton. The Jayhawks, right? Is that their thing? What's their
Creighton, Blue Jays? Jayhawks?
Blue Jays.
Blue Jays. Oh, man, it would have been better if I got it right the first time.
Yeah.
Either way, more Gwynn and Chris on the other side.
Ben and Woods on the Fan.
Coming up on Wednesday, it's our last day before our Thanksgiving.
authentic Mediterranean cuisine. Locations in Coronado or La Jolla, or for dining, takeout options, catering, visit spiroscuisine.com. Chris Ello going international today. Down in Cancun, getting ready for the women's basketball San Diego State Cancun Challenge.
You should tell everybody your question before we get to Mark Zeigler about the resort, because people are going to know the answer to this. Chris was asking us a question.
Okay, that's a good point, Skraby. I'm staying at an all-inclusive resort. I'm assuming that means I just show up at any restaurant on the premises for dinner, and then I just don't have to pay. So
I believe that's how it goes. I've never been to an all-inclusive resort. So
I know.
I don't know.
I'm hoping that's the case because I plan on ordering a lot of stuff and,
putting it on the SDSU women's basketball tab.
Put it on the SDSU women's card.
I don't know if they'll keep inviting you back if that's how it goes.
Yeah, they wouldn't be happy with me. You're right, Tony. The Aztec women, we had Kim Villalobos on the show the other day. They're off to a great start, 6-0. And now the men's team comes up with a huge win today, knocking off Creighton in Las Vegas. And Mark Zeigler is going to join us in a couple of moments to talk about that. But before we do it, let's get a little traffic check for you.
From the 97.3 The Fan Traffic Center, here's Kelly Danick.
Traffic is sponsored by the Mini Donut Company. Not too bad of a ride this afternoon. Just a couple things to point out here. Southbound side of the 805, an accident E4 Governor. We've got a couple vehicles involved. They're now over to the right shoulder, but watch out for some debris reported in the slow lane. Also, traveling on southbound 15 right before the 5, we have reports of some sheets of plywood in the slow lane. Seeking the perfect treat for the holidays, try the Mini Donut Company with rotating, seasonal, and classic flavors. The Mini Donut Company offers the perfect bite-sized indulgence for your office or holiday gathering. Visit getminidonuts.com and order from UTC, Point Loma, or Carlsbad. I'm Kelly Danick with Gwynn and Chris, San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan.
All right, earlier today in Las Vegas, the Aztec men's basketball team making us think like it's going to be another fun year. Brian Dutcher and company, they knock off the 21st ranked team in the nation, the Creighton Blue Jays, and they beat them easily, Tony, 71-53. The Aztecs led by 4 points at halftime and then ran away with the game in the second half. B.J. Davis and Miles Bird combined for 34 points in the backcourt. Nick Boyd was solid. Magoon Gwath took care of matters on the inside. And you said you watched most of the second half, Tony. The Aztecs really did a good job. The Aztecs are almost always more athletic than their opponents, but you were saying they were physically superior in this game.
Yeah, I mean, Creighton had the 7'1" guy, and it just seemed like the Aztecs were moving him around at will, honestly. They got back to doing some of the things that we've grown accustomed to. As I said, they gave 37% Creighton shot in the first half, 31% in the second half, and that's much closer to what we're used to seeing from this ball club. We go back to that Gonzaga game; they shot above that, well above that, in the low 40s, I think it was percentage wise. The Aztecs, they looked like the better team in today's ball game, and that 18-point spread kind of confirmed that.
Well, let's see if Mark Zeigler agrees with you, Tony. Mark Zeigler joins us from Las Vegas. Oh, I'm sorry, Skraby. I didn't hear you correctly. We're waiting for him. We'll have him in a couple of minutes. But, they're going to play Oregon tomorrow. And keeping an eye on this Oregon game. They are 5-0 right now, Oregon is, and they're trailing Texas A&M by only a single point with about 5 minutes to go in that game. So that's going to be another big challenge for them tomorrow. And then they have a third game on Thursday, but I don't think their opponent has been determined yet for the final game. Hopefully Mark Zeigler have a little more insight into that. But, as we talked about earlier, this is just, a team that just year after year, no matter how many changes are made, they basically lost their entire team from last season except for Reese Waters. And, of course, Reese Waters is hurt. He's not even playing. And 4 games into the season, already the Aztecs pick up a marquee victory today. Very, very impressive.
Nine
Mark.
9 deep today.
Sorry?
9 deep today. The Aztecs went with, some significant minutes really spread out throughout.
And everybody contributed.
Everyone contributed. Yeah, everyone had a bucket, at least a bucket. Everybody had, at least 2 rebounds. This was it was a good performance. B.J. Davis led the way with 9 rebounds. So, this is a team this program has been built on the defensive end. It was nice to see him kind of get back to that here today.
Yeah, you bring up B.J. Davis, 9 rebounds, Tony. All of them at the defensive end.
Yeah.
We're talking about a guard. He's a
That's
shooting
what I'm saying.
guard.
Yeah.
On this team. And Nick Boyd, who's the point guard, he had 6 rebounds. So those two guys combined for 15 boards. That's like found money when you got your 2 guards in there, getting all these rebounds. And you said it. I mean, you hold Creighton, a top 20 team, to 33% shooting, and they were just 6 for 31 from threes. Creighton was. And I'm assuming that the Aztecs also played very good free throw defense, Tony. Creighton was 5 of 13 at the line.
Yeah, that's not a good omen for your ball club. You get into the free throw line and not capitalizing on, free buckets. That cost you.
It cost Creighton. The Aztecs only got to the line 7 times today, so you can't sit there and say the officials had, or any real impact on this game. I mean, this was just Aztecs domination, and a great win for San Diego State. And they've had Creighton's number over the years.
I was just about to ask.
They beat Creighton in the Elite 8.
I am not Mark Zeigler. I'm having a hard time getting a hold of him, but I'm sure he'll surface here shortly. I was going to ask, do you guys think this is like a unofficial rivalry? Because they play a lot. They play in the tournament a lot. They play here in this Vegas tournament. I mean, it's got to be some sort of rivalry, I think, even though none of the players are involved each time they play.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know that, these rosters, especially now, turn over so much. I don't know that there's a correlation. But they have played so much in the last, 3 or 4 years. These guys are staffs and players that have been here are probably more familiar than you would be normally, especially for a team that's not in your conference.
And I think that both of these schools are very similar. They're mid-majors that are really, really successful.
Yeah.
Although Creighton has joined the Big East, so they have become a little bit more of a Power 5 conference team. But Creighton started out in the Missouri Valley Conference, and the Aztecs in the Mountain West. And I don't know if you remember, they used to have that Mountain West Missouri Conference Challenge. So I think that's where this whole thing started. And then you're right, Skraby, they met in the first round of the tournament 3 or 4 years ago, and Creighton won that game in overtime. And then they came back the very next year in the Elite 8, and of course, the Aztecs got their revenge and went to the Final Four. Darian Trammell remember that? He got fouled, Tony, with 1 second to go in the game on a jump shot. And a lot of people thought that the Aztecs got a break on that call. I don't know. As I said at the time, a foul's a foul. And he was definitely fouled going up for that shot. And he hit the second free throw to break the tie. He actually missed the first one.
He missed the first one, yeah.
Yeah, and then made the second one. And they ended up winning that ball game, going to the Final Four. And now they beat them again today. So that's a big win for San Diego State.
As we're waiting for Mark Zeigler, I will tell you something that's on the chat, Chris, because you were asking about all-inclusive at the resort you're staying at, what that means. Are you able just to go sit down and eat dinner? And Famous All Day says all-inclusive means just that everything is already paid. Room service at midnight paid, drinks paid already. It's already paid for, in case anybody didn't answer. So there you go, Chris.
Wait. Did I hear correctly that room service is paid for?
Well, that's...
I don't think room service...
it says... room service at midnight paid. I wouldn't trust that one, Chris. It could be from resort to resort, but it does sound like you could just go sit down and kind of eat at the restaurants.
Yeah, I don't know if I trust the room service thing. It sounds really good though.
Yeah, I'd be careful on the room service one. You don't want to end up with a much bigger bill than you anticipated there, buddy.
Yes, thank you, Tony, for looking out for me. Yeah, they might. Who knows? If it's Thanksgiving week, they might have some oxtail at midnight.
Yeah, I would definitely say treat yourself, brother. If they got some oxtail there. Although, I don't know how it's prepared, but I would say that you should give it a try.
I had a mistake in my last job before radio. I was traveling all over the country, like 30 weeks a year. And in the beginning, I thought that my company was going to be covering stuff from the minibar, and
from the minibar.
Yeah, and this is back when I was a drinker. So
I already see where this one's going.
The beers all disappeared, the wine disappeared. And I got a nice little couple $100 bill when I checked out.
Well, that'll be a little bit cheaper than this refrigerator you're going to have to replace when it's all set.
I forgot about it for a second. I forgot about it. If you're just tuning in, I broke the refrigerator and I yelled at a woman on my dog walk
He
today.
broke the office refrigerator, He left it open. He tried to stuff a box in there that was too big.
I didn't mean to do it. I checked it to make sure it was closed before I left, and guess what?
So then
it popped back open.
then all of us got this shamed email this morning about leaving the refrigerator open and it might being broken, and anywhere from $2,000 to $4,000 is going to be either a repair or replacement. So Skraby's on the hook for this right now.
Yes, I already apologized profusely to everyone I needed to apologize to. Been forgiven by those people, but not by you.
You know why
guys.
you've been forgiven?
Because they feel bad for me?
No, because they know it's going to come out of your pocket.
It's not going to come out of my pocket. It's
going to come out of your pocket.
Come out of my
That's
pocket.
why I say, you know what, man? Don't even worry about it.
This is just payback for the time that I had issues with the vending machine. Remember when I would try to select something and it would give me something else because they were duping us?
That was a major issue.
I do not remember that.
They were duping us because you would hit B1 and I wanted whatever it was, but it would give you B2. So instead of whatever I wanted, it gave me like Cool Mint Mentos. I'm
perfect.
like, what?
Perfect.
I didn't order the Mentos. I hit B1. And then you look at it and it's all cattywampus in there.
So I take it we might not be speaking with Mark today.
I think he's a little busy.
Okay.
I think he's a little busy.
enough.
But if we can, we'll fit him in by the end of the show for sure. Aaron Rodgers, guys, he's trying to take his narrative back.
I saw a little bit of this today.
Yeah. This whole thing is very Aaron Rodgers, and anybody who's surprised by this hasn't been around
He said,
a while.
I haven't decided if I'm going to play, but if I decide to play, my first choice will be New York. Well, it sounds like New York doesn't really want him, so I don't know. But I do see your point of him trying to take the narrative back here in terms of, you're not going to just fire me. I'll let you know if I'm going to want to play.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. He can't. This whole thing has been a disaster.
It has been.
He's got people fired. Not that he's gotten people fired, but people have been fired.
It will definitely give maybe not. Chris, you think it'll give an organization a pause next time? Like, let's say when, I don't know, when Patrick Mahomes becomes old.
Right, I know what you mean, Tony.
Yeah. Do you think this will give teams a pause?
The thing is remember Brett Favre? He was kind of one of the first guys that I remember that seemed like he was past his prime, yet he was still signing big money contracts. And if you remember, when he went to the Jets, it was a disaster. But when he went to the Vikings, he got them to the NFC Championship game.
Yeah.
And if it wasn't for an interception at the end, he would have made the Super Bowl that year. So I think everybody feels like they can still catch that lightning in a bottle, but I mean, going all the way back to Johnny Unitas finishing his career as a Charger, it doesn't usually work out for aging quarterbacks who go somewhere else at the end.
I think it takes the right setup. Like, you think about when Peyton left the Colts. He fell into, like, the right situation. That defense was lights out. And he wasn't asked to do as much, right? Tom Brady, he went to Tampa Bay. It was like the perfect situation. They had the weapons. They had the defense. They just needed him to be Tom Brady. And he was able to do that the first year. So they got one out of him. But you're right. All of the other circumstances, I think Joe Montana went to Kansas City. It didn't quite work out the way.
He almost got to the Super Bowl,
He did
believe,
I
right?
think he got to did he get to AFC Championship
He got to a
game?
championship game 1 year, guys. He did, yeah.
I will never
And by the way,
forget
you've named like three of the greatest quarterbacks of all time. That it worked for 1 year, but it didn't work long. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know. This one has completely gone wrong. That's for sure.
I'm trying to say it, but I don't want to say it. I've heard rumblings that the 49ers may be interested in Aaron Rodgers' services, and I just want to tell Kyle Shanahan.
He is a Bay Area native.
I would like to tell Kyle Shanahan that I know he's listening. Do not do it, Kyle.
What if
not do it?
What if he does? Will you?
I'm going to question his sanity at this point. If they sign Aaron Rodgers, I think that is
to me
a huge mistake.
To me, I don't think. First of all, I think Brock Purdy should be the quarterback there. But I'm saying if they do go down this route, I do think the 49ers are in a better spot than where the Jets are in terms of it having a chance to work.
Yes,
I think Aaron Rodgers might be the wild card in it all, right? Because it just seems like a locker room that would be, and this is all from the outside looking in, but it does seem like this would cause some friction in the locker room.
Yeah.
And there's already some pretty big personalities in 49er
Trent,
land.
You got Debo. Brock Purdy's not a personality, and that's why it works.
That's why it works.
I caught up with Mark Zeigler, guys. He apologizes. He's still in the arena. He's gonna join us at 4:00, so we're gonna have to push back Chris versus the fans a little bit.
Boom.
I also saw Daniel Jones being rumored as a 49ers backup, but I saw Ryan Fitzpatrick on the Prime Video broadcast saying, don't sign with a team right now, Daniel. Like, take your time to get away, reset, figure out what you want to do, figure out what you want from a team, figure out what you want from yourself before you go and just join a roster just because you want a job. I mean, I think he's doing okay with money.
Going back to the Jets for a second, how can they be this bad? Never mind Devontae Adams, okay, maybe he's over the hill. But they've got two of the best skilled offensive players in all of football on that team, and Garrett Wilson and Breece Hall. They got one of the top cornerbacks in the league, Sauce Gardner. They've got one of the best interior defensive linemen.
Yep.
And his name's escaping me.
Quentin Williams, yeah.
Yeah, Quentin Williams. They have so many great players. It's it's amazing that you can have that many good players, but just everything around you just doesn't work, so that I guess it just the old whatever, everything trickles downhill, but it starts with the owner, and I think it's just for whatever reason none of these guys can play up to their ability.
I mean, listen, there's a reason. The Jets haven't been. What was the last time the Jets were good? Was that when
Chad Pennington? Or no, Mark Sanchez and
Rex Ryan.
Yeah.
That's been a while.
No, I thought it was when Joe Namath guaranteed the Super Bowl.
Well, that's the last time they got to a Super Bowl, won the Super Bowl, right? I think.
Yeah, right.
After that, it's been kind of the same thing. They've had pockets of time where they've been pretty good, but yeah, you can only surmise that at the end of this, it has a lot more to do than just what's happening on the field. Because as you said, this is a talented group, offensively and defensively. Yet they haven't lived up to expectation.
Let me ask you one last thing about stuff trickling downhill. Do you think the Chargers and Jim Harbaugh, from what we've seen so far, Jim Harbaugh is overcoming that mystique of the Chargers where nothing can ever really work?
Thought about this many times.
Here's the thing, and I think this is important. There are times where you have owners that aren't necessarily the greatest people, and they are, or whether they are or not, they decide not to meddle with the actual football spot and just do the things necessary so the team can do what it needs to do. That may be what's happening in Chicago. You know, sometimes a step back actually ends up being a benefit to the actual team. I think the Jets and the Cowboys could use maybe a step back. Yeah. I'm just saying, they're not down here, so we don't really know, but I haven't heard very much from the Spanos in a while.
If they know what's good for them, they'll just stay out of Jim's way. All right, Mark Zeigler next, everybody. 97.3 The Fan. What happened, guys?
I don't know.
has these things. It even tells you, hey, there's a canyon over here. Don't hit it here.
Skraby from about 45 feet. His caddy tells him to play it a little to the right. He's been playing well so far today. Fourth hole. Nice smooth delivery. Hit it too hard.
Sasquatch.
So Chris says that he can't play golf, but this is the second birdie putt he's made for us. This time it was like 20 feet.
Thank you very much, Greg. But once again, you're hitting some very nice shots as well. I'm not usually complimentary to you, but I can't help but be complimentary. Your shot making today.
With my what?
Your shot making. You hit some.
These things. It even tells you, hey, there's a canyon over here. Don't hit it here.
Skraby from about 45 feet. His caddy tells him to play it a little to the right. He's been playing well so far today. Fourth hole. Nice smooth delivery. Hit it too hard.
Sasquatch.
So Chris says that he can't play golf, but this is the second birdie putt he's made for us. This time it was like 20 feet.
Thank you very much, Greg. But once again, you're hitting some very nice shots as well. I'm not usually complimentary to you, but I can't help but be complimentary. Your shot making today.
With my what?
Your shot making. You hit some.
These things. It even tells you, hey, there's a canyon over here. Don't hit it here.
Skraby from about 45 feet. His caddy tells him to play it a little to the right. He's been playing well so far today. Fourth hole. Nice smooth delivery. Hit it too hard.
Sasquatch.
So Chris says that he can't play golf, but this is the second birdie putt he's made for us. This time it was like 20 feet.
Thank you very much, Greg. But once again, you're hitting some very nice shots as well. I'm not usually complimentary to you, but
of the week, and to be quite frank, it feels like the last show of the week. Not much.
Gobble, gobble.
Yes, getting ready for a little gobble, gobble. Not much sports. However, there was one that I thought finished in a dazzling way. The Aztecs take down Creighton in an 18-point whooping in Vegas today. Joining us on Gwynn and Chris, Mark Zeigler joins us, San Diego Union Tribune. And Mark, you didn't really know what to expect. I thought the Aztecs held their own against Gonzaga. They are obviously undermanned, but to come out and apply the pressure physically, we saw a lot of the things that's made this program so special over the last 10, 15 years. We saw that today in a group that hasn't spent much time with each other.
Yeah, on the one hand, you look at this result and you see them beating a ranked Creighton team by 18 points. You're a little surprised, and then you think about it, and we shouldn't be because it's in Las Vegas. There's something about this program in Las Vegas. Maybe it's just because they play here all the time. It was the 75th time they played in this city in the last 15 plus seasons, 15 seasons in 3 games. So it's like 5 times a year that they're playing here. And so they're just the staff, the players, the fans, everyone's just very, very comfortable here. It's close. And Vegas is a weird place. It has an effect on kids, I think, because there's nothing like it in the world. And for kids that are, 2 players are from Vegas on the roster, they're used to it. And it showed. They look really, really comfortable out there.
Mark, I saw the Gonzaga game and I really wasn't disappointed. I mean, I didn't expect them to be able to run with Gonzaga, especially with Reese Waters out and Miles Bird was clearly hampered in that game. But there's something, and you go to these practices, there's something that happens with this program behind the scenes that we don't see, that they can come out a week after losing to Gonzaga or, 8-9 days later and just seem like they've improved so dramatically. I mean, so maybe this is just what we should expect almost every time.
Yeah, it was interesting, 8 days of practice. They didn't practice all 8 of them. I think they practiced 6 of those 8. But I went to a few of those practices, and they, usually once you get into the season, you're doing drill work, and then you're going up against the scout team. And the scout team is actually, very good at San Diego State, but it's not like going up against each other, going up against scholarship versus scholarship players and going really hard. And this week they did a lot of that. I mean, they went at each other and they went hard, and they did a lot of segments in practice where they were just going first. They mixed the first 2 groups up and they would go at each other, it really seemed to help them turn a corner. I mean, they really toughened up, got used to the speed of the game a little bit more. And again, it's something you don't usually see coaches do, but it was a tactical decision by Coach Dusher and his staff, and it really showed. You saw a lot of growth in the last 8 days.
Mark Zeigler joins us here, San Diego Union Tribune. And Mark, Chris mentioned Miles Bird being out for that Gonzaga game, and for a lot of the Aztecs teams, we tend to focus on some of the older guys, but Miles Bird, he had it going, especially early in that second half. Hit 2 threes to kind of push that lead a little bit. He seems like a guy that wants to be in a position where Dutch and that staff trust him with the ball to be able to provide some offense. He seems like he's more than a willing participant in being that guy.
Yeah, no, he really, really wants that role, just like you said. He sort of craves it. It's just part of his personality. And he does so much. His length causes so many problems to people that just having that extra body out on the floor and the kinds of things that he can do really changes the game and changes the dynamics. He gets in passing lane, tips the ball. You saw he made a huge block today against Pop Isaac late in the game. Little things like that, again, they just add up. Nick Boyd's the leader on this team, but Miles Bird is a leader too. And So when you got two leaders on the floor, it just adds to it.
Aztecs beat Creighton today 71-53 in Las Vegas. That's where Mark Zeigler is, joining us here on 97.3 The Fan. Mark, how excited should I get, if let's say I pick up the paper tomorrow and I didn't know and I read your story and I read the result and I see we beat a ranked team, and so should I get excited or how tempered should I be that they won a big game like this early in the season?
Well, a couple things. First of all, if you're an Aztec fan, now you become a huge Creighton fan, and Creighton's hurting a little bit. They didn't have Stephen Ashworth, their point guard. They got to turn around tomorrow and play a Texas A&M team that just lost is going to be angry, super athletic, not real big, but really, really athletic and tough. And then they're going to have a third game in this tournament against somebody good, and then they play Kansas. So this is a team that could go in the tank, and you don't want them to because you want them to hold some sort of standing. And keep their metrics up so that this is a quality win going into March. That's the biggest thing for San Diego State is when you looked at the schedule and you looked at them being young, being new, and not having Reese Waters, and started thinking, man, these 4 games in a row here, Gonzaga, and the 3 in this tournament, you lose them all. Okay, it's no great problem because you still can have plenty of time to get better, but you don't have a quality win. You don't have that resume win. I think this is probably a resume win, and it takes a lot of pressure off. And now, like Dutch said afterwards, he said, we're going to get greedy and go for 2 and then maybe go for 3. They have great opportunity here. If they beat Oregon, they're in the championship game. And not only does that help with your resume, but you get an extra, if you win this thing, you get an extra $500,000 into your NIL kitty, which for some schools probably doesn't matter, but for San Diego State, it really matters. When they have $1 million total in NIL and they're already going to get $1 million here, and could get $1.5 million. So there's a lot to play for.
That is such an interesting part of this particular tournament. It can help a school like San Diego State in such a big way. You could see why guys are, you would want to have your best foot forward in this tournament. Mark, last time we spoke, there hadn't been really a lot of games around the Mountain West Conference in terms of the teams there. Now you're starting to get some games. I see Utah State's 5-0. What is the rest of this conference looking like in the early going aside from San Diego State?
There's been pretty good results so far. New Mexico beat UCLA. That was positive. Boise State beat Clemson. Pretty good. That was good. They just reached the final of the tournament there, and it's not a very good tournament, but they're still in the final. Nevada's had some good wins. Like you said, Utah State undefeated, hasn't really been tested yet. We'll see how they do when they get tested. But you've got 5 pretty good teams, and that's going to help the metrics. The problem with the Mountain West this year is the bottom 4 is not very good. And when you're looking at a San Jose State and Air Force, Wyoming, Fresno State, those are going to drag down your metrics, and particularly if you lose to them or you just don't beat them by that much. And it's a long season, and you're going to hit a bad night, and if you happen to lose one of those teams, it's an anchor on your resume. So that's going to be the problem in the Mountain West. So it's encouraging to see, 4 or 5 teams that are playing pretty well that can sort of help things along in terms of when we get to Selection Sunday.
Mark, I wanted to sneak back to the game today a little bit. One thing I noticed on the stat sheet was that B.J. Davis and Nick Boyd combined for 15 rebounds. That's pretty impressive for your backcourt. One guy, B.J. had 9, and your point guard gets 6 rebounds. Let's talk a little bit about, the all-around backcourt. I mean, with Miles Bird included, is that going to be kind of what we lean on this year? Or can we expect some nights where the interior guys are able to take over a little bit more?
That's a really good point because, if you look at this team last year to this year, last year it was, get inside, get it Jaden Ledee, and it was much more of a paint-centric team. This team is all about its backcourt. I mean, you've got 4 bigs, and they're young, they're talented, but they're not big scorers, and they're not going to carry the scoring burden and really a lot of the rebounding burden either. Jaden Ledee was a double-double machine, and you're not going to see that out of a big this year. And so when you have a guard get 9 rebounds, and here's the thing about B.J. Davis getting 9 rebounds, no one in that locker room is surprised. He's probably their best rebounder. And he's definitely their best inch for inch, pound for pound rebounder, but he might be the best rebounder on the team. He just has a knack and anticipation. He reacts. If you watch him, if you watch them play and you watch in a defensive set and just watch him and you watch the shot go up, watch how quickly he reacts. He's the first guy to react to the ball. He just has an innate sense of where it's going to go, and he starts moving, and he collects a lot of rebounds that way. And Nick Boyd has had games already this season where he's shown he can rebound too. So when you have that from your guards, it really, really takes pressure off the bigs, allows them just to box out and let other guys go and get it.
That's funny, Mark. I envision Dennis Rodman on that documentary where he's talking about the ball bouncing off the rim and it's going bing, bing, boom. He's kind of in that spot. That's kind of what I saw when you were talking about B.J. Davis. Aztecs will take on Oregon tomorrow as they continue to get these games under their belt and try to stack some impressive wins. Mark, as always, appreciate your time, man.
Okay, we'll talk to you guys.
Mark Zeigler, San Diego Union Tribune. Going over that Aztec victory over Creighton. They'll take on Oregon tomorrow, and as Mark mentioned, if they get a victory there, they'll move into that last game against another good team. Don't know who it'll be yet, as Creighton will take on Texas A&M tomorrow.
Isn't there there's another aspect that Mark brought up that college sports has never before had, Tony, but now, as Mark points out, it really means something to this program if they can win this tournament.
Yeah.
It's $1.5 million in their pocket. College sports that's never been equated with college sports in the past.
No.
You got some TV money, right, if you won a bowl game or whatever that was. But to actually win a tournament and be paid more money because you win the tournament?
He said they have $1 million in there by themselves is what they had. This is $1 million that they don't even got to come up with. This is an extra million and a half. So it's a big deal. I know it's crazy.
I'll tell you one thing.
It's crazy to be talking about dollars like this as it pertains to a college basketball victory, but that's where we are.
Yeah, and I expect if they make it to the championship game, if there's a bad call, I want to see Dutcher lying on the court a la Danny Hurley. Because that's a $500,000 call right there, ref. Come on.
That's worth it. That's
yeah.
definitely worth it.
I don't want to see Brian Dutcher stoop as low as, what's his name, Dan Hurley?
I tell you what, I won't be surprised if a lot of these tournaments, before conference, start to turn into this. Because I would assume this is going to be everybody wants to get in it type deal when there's $1.5 million that are going to NL. Maybe not some of the Power 4 schools that kind of already have that pot to play with, but certainly the mid-majors, your best ones. I assume you're going to get those type of schools out there.
Yeah, Oregon's the richest school I can think of in America. But,
they don't need it.
I don't think, but they don't need it, but they're not going to turn down $1.5 million either.
Absolutely not.
That's still a hell of a payday. Yeah. So that's a big win tomorrow. This is a big win today. We got, like Dutcher said, we'll try to get greedy. If they don't get any more, it'll be a little disappointing. But the fact that they beat Creighton shows me what this team's capable of and has me excited for another, good season of Aztec basketball. But yeah, now they really got a chance to win these next two and really make it worthwhile. So
meanwhile, I think during our show today, is it Tuesday? Oh no, it's Wednesday. The college football.
Is it?
Is it Tuesday? Is it Tuesday or Wednesday? Skrabe?
I don't know. Skrabe,
I think it's Tuesday.
So maybe today we'll get a little bit of that. That has been let me make sure. It's been if it is today, it's great because we certainly need the help. But I've been fascinated a little bit with the college football playoff, kind of every week, letting us know where everybody's at. Because the one thing I don't think we accounted for was the kind of drama that can take place when you're trying to keep 12 teams in it. Right, we'd only been talking about 4 over the last 4 years. Now, with this 12 teams, the losses last week were funny, and we'll get into it on the other side. But there were at one point it seemed like Indiana they were toast after they got whooped by Ohio State. By the end of the day, though, they were squarely right back in the thick of things. We'll get to that on the other side. More Gwynn and Chris after some traffic.
From the 97.3 The Fan Traffic Center,
Back to Gwynn and Chris. Chris Ello, Tony Gwynn Jr., Matt Skraby, 4:21 is the time. Quick programming note, because Mr. Zeigler joined us from Las Vegas in the last segment, we have moved the daily episode of Chris versus the Fans. It will now take place an hour from right now at 5:20 this evening. So if you'd like to play some Chris versus the Fans, stick around. We will have a round of it at 5:20, about an hour from right now. We were talking some college football in the last segment. Of course, the Aztecs, they're not part of the discussion, unfortunately, for the playoff or anything close to it.
Not this year.
Not this year. Yeah, they will finish their season Saturday against Air Force. But I found it interesting because, Tony, you were talking about it and how last year there were 4 teams. That, in the last several years, it's been 4 teams in the playoff. And this year they move it to 12. And here we are with about 2 weeks to go in the season. And guess what the biggest question mark is? It's the same one as it was last year.
Yeah.
And that is, should we let Alabama into the college football playoff? And if you remember last year, Alabama beat Georgia, and there was a chance that they were going to take no SEC teams to the playoff last year because there was Texas, there was Washington, there was Michigan, and then when Alabama upset Georgia in the SEC championship game, there was another team in there, and Florida State.
Yeah.
Florida State. Remember, they were undefeated.
Undefeated.
So there was talk that Florida State would have been the 4th team, and there was going to be a playoff last year with no SEC teams at all. And people just thought, no, we can't do that. So what did they do? They put Alabama in, and they kicked Florida State out, basically, last year. And now here we are this year. We know that Georgia and Texas are both in from the SEC. We assume Tennessee will be the 3rd team. But Alabama, by losing last week and now having 3 losses, is on the bubble. And the question is, are they going to want to kick Alabama out because they've lost 3 games, or are they going to let them in again because they're Alabama?
Now, if you let the SEC folks tell it, the committee has been very tough on them so far. Remember, Georgia was losing their mind. They didn't do themselves any favor this week. SEC, Alabama lost, Ole Miss lost, Texas A&M lost. And so what I said before the break was Indiana looked toast. They got beat, and they got beat bad. But they got lucky because Alabama turned around and lost, Ole Miss turned around and lost, A&M, who were all behind them. And so everybody falls. Indiana stays in a pretty good spot, assuming they can, win these next couple of games. And now the SEC is back on the chopping block. The crazy thing is we very much are – it's probably a more likely scenario that a 3-loss SEC, whether it be, Alabama, Ole Miss – could very well end up in this because they're going to also – I think Alabama's going to end up in the championship game regardless.
No, they're not. Sorry,
They're not.
Tony, but Georgia's in, and then the other team is going to be either Texas or Texas A&M, whoever wins this week.
That's right.
So, Alabama's not going to be in.
But
Here's
they can still find themselves into this playoff.
No. Don't ever – yes, of course. Because they're Alabama, they're always in contention. And here's the thing that they're not going to remind you about in the SEC. So I'll remind you about it since they won't. Alabama lost a game this year to Vanderbilt. Vanderbilt, in turn, lost a game this year to Georgia State.
Say, we'll help you out a little bit more, Alabama.
That's what I just want. I just want to let you know. Georgia State beat Vanderbilt, and Vanderbilt beat Alabama. So for everybody who says, well, Alabama, they play in such a tough conference and they lose all these. Hey, they blew it themselves by losing to Vanderbilt. And I don't think people should just forget that and let them in like we always do.
Well,
sorry, Alabama. You know how I love those guys. But
yes, we do know how you love those guys.
Do we think the Alabama's 3 losses is as simple as Nick Saban left and they have a new coach?
Well, I think it's a factor. The guy's,
definitely
I think he's done a pretty good job overall. I mean, they beat Georgia. I mean, that shows that they're certainly capable. But it's a new system, new program. So, I think DeBoer's done pretty well. But probably for Alabama fans, it's certainly not enough, right?
Yeah, I mean,
3 games. They haven't lost 3 games since Bear Bryant or something back in the day.
Listen, right now, if the playoffs were to start, Alabama would be out, and Texas A&M would be out.
And Ole Miss, right?
And Ole Miss would be out.
There'd only be 3 of them in.
There'd only be 3 of them in, and those 3 would be Tennessee, Georgia, and Texas.
Right.
So,
but the SEC is going to say there shouldn't be a playoff if there's not at least 4 of us in it.
Of course.
That's what they're going to say.
Of course they're going to say that.
Just like they said last year when they put Alabama in and they took an undefeated Florida State team out.
So right now you got 2 ACC teams in. You got 3 SEC teams in.
Yeah, 4 in the Big Ten because you've got Ohio State, Oregon, Indiana, and Penn State.
Yep.
So, there's not a lot of extra spots, lying around. And, that'll be interesting. But my bottom line is back to what I said at the beginning. I knew this was going to happen, Tony. So did you.
Yeah.
When you go to 12 teams, then the number 13 team's going to be mad. There's no way to ever appease everybody, and they should have known that beforehand.
Yeah.
So, I don't know.
I don't know.
I don't know.
Cup night tonight. Just a reminder to all you good folks out there. The
Cup
Lakers.
night.
The Lakers look to continue their undefeated cup play in the history of cup play.
Yes.
You mean the 1 year of cup play?
Hey, it's the history, buddy.
I still don't get this whole cup thing. I mean, I don't know why it's Tuesday or Fridays.
You don't want to get it, buddy.
I
want to
don't.
continue to not get it.
You're right. I don't.
Do you guys know, though? Here's one thing, and maybe, Tony, you're not even 100% aware of this, although you follow the cup a lot closer than the rest of us. If the Lakers, and I don't know everybody in their group, I think it's the Warriors and the Suns and I think Utah, whoever they're in. But if the Lakers end up in a tie or there's a 3-way tie and everybody's beating everybody in a round-robin format, you know what they go down to, don't you? Point differential, which means that in the NBA Cup, if you're winning by 20 points, you do not want to rest your starters at the end of the game. You want to win by 30 because you may need that tiebreaker later on.
That was a big topic of conversation last year.
Big deal,
in
yeah.
Cup play.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so it's something to keep an eye on.
I'll give it to the NBA. I'll give it to the NBA. They
at least they try stuff, Skraby.
We're trying different things.
We're trying different
things. Yes, we're trying different things.
You and Adam Silver working together.
Me and Adam have a conference call every week.
Oh, he's
good.
And Tony answers it saying, "It's Cup Day!
It's Cup Day!" All right, let's get the break on the other side. Oh, this isn't my job. This is yours, Chris.
Well, before I say goodbye, there was one thing, or go to break. There was one other thing. Somebody got fined was it $100,000 for not playing in the NBA Cup? Did you see that today, Tony?
I did not.
I think it was. Look it up real quick, Skraby, while we're going to break here. But I think there was some.
Trae Young.
Trae Young.
He got
didn't play in a
100
cup
racks, huh?
100 racks for missing an NBA Cup.
Oh, wait,
game.
no. It was the Hawks that got fined.
Oh, yeah, the Hawks.
Oh, the Hawks, not him. Oh,
Trae Young didn't get
They got fined for violating the league's participation. I can't say that.
Participation.
Thank you. Policy. The league handed down a fine after finding the Hawks held star guard Trae Young out of the team's first game of the NBA Cup, despite him being healthy enough to play.
$100,000, man. This is why the NBA gets it done, man. They don't care. They do what's best for the league.
$100,000.
I like these guys.
That's good.
That is good.
I like
It's good
these
stuff
guys.
right there.
That is good.
All right, let's get to break.
Right.
Sorry, I
All
forgot it was
right,
your turn.
Big Five. Big Five.
Oh, that's us. Next.
Tony Gwynn Jr., Chris Ello, Matt Skraby.
Hey, before we get into it real quick, I want to check in on something. Chris, you got to lower your camera a little bit. Yesterday, we had a big fight in the beginning of the show about prep and about you guys reading things. And so I just want to check in with Chris to see if he read ahead with the Big Five today. Yeah. That's
Read it.
You did?
I did. Yes, I read the whole thing on the Google Docs that you sent to me.
I guess it wasn't a mistake that we never stepped on any of your Big Five things. How funny about that? We didn't even talk about it. We actually read it today, huh?
Let's see if this continues on the other side of the Thanksgiving break. But I appreciate you guys reading. Yes.
Can I, before you get to the Big Five, can I tell on myself because you wanted me to?
Yes.
As the show got underway today at 2 o'clock, I had my app plugged in and my earphones, and I could hear really pretty well. And as we went on, Tony's voice started to fade on me a little bit. And by about 3:30, I really could barely hear you. And by 4 o'clock, I couldn't hear you at all. So I asked Skraby between the break, I go, what's the matter? Is there something wrong? So we reconnected. We did everything. Come to find out, all I had to do is push this one button on my headsets that turns the levels up, and I can hear you fine. So
I wonder.
I am so dumb sometimes it almost defies description.
Can I tell you that when you asked Skraby if you could reconnect, his eyes almost got stuck in the back of his head. That's how hard he rolled his eyes, and I had to walk out of the room because it was too funny. And then when I came back in right as you were telling him, oh, I just had to hit this button. He almost had a heart attack.
I wonder if that's the problem with what we've been dealing with.
No,
it very well.
Because Chris is convinced that it's a gremlin.
He's got some creepy crawlers in there just turning his volume down all the time.
My reaction to Tony was I took Chris off the board for a second so I could say this without him hearing it. But I said, the thing is like volume just doesn't go away.
He was so frustrated, flabbergasted at this point.
But then Chris came back and said, hey, I can hear you guys
He
again.
got it figured out. And Skraby wanted to say, I told you so bad, but I wouldn't allow him. Real quick, shout out to all the equipment managers out there. You guys do a fantabulous job, especially the one out at Cal Berkeley. I don't know if you guys saw.
I love that guy. Yeah, I saw that.
The fans come on the field. It's the chaos going, and my man, equipment manager, is just standing, kind of securing the stuff. A student, I assume it was a student, came out of nowhere and snatched a Cal helmet. And I'm telling you, this equipment manager and rest of them ran a 4-3 through the crowd of people to body slam this guy and get the helmet back. Made it back in today. Reason why I bring it up because on
sorry, that was on the air.
On IG,
I'm trying to show the video.
On IG, they end
up. Hey,
up.
Skraby, I heard that.
Okay, good. I heard it too, and it scared me because I didn't know if there were swear words coming.
On IG, I think the head coach had the equipment manager come up in front of the team. They replayed the video in front of all the guys.
Cool.
They had a good little time with it.
This equipment manager, not only has sprint speed, but he's able to get through this crowd like no one's business.
And then he finished the kid off with a little push down.
He was like, get down.
He looked like Dick Butkus hitting a fan. I mean, he crushed him, man.
He did.
Yeah, he's running through the crowd, and he zoop, gets through, and then boom, gets the kid and body slams him.
He definitely lowered the boom. All right.
Then he just took the helmet and walked away.
Like nothing ever happened either. That's what I do. All right, let's check traffic and then Skraby's Big Five.
From the 97.3 The Fan Traffic Center, here's Kelly Danick.
Traffic is sponsored by Jack in the Box. Got a few things going on in North County. Northbound side of the 5 at Carmel Valley Road. Crash over to the right shoulder. Also, northbound 15 at Auto Parkway. Stall vehicle being cleared out of lanes. Up ahead before Rainbow Valley. Got a collision involving a couple vehicles, including a motorcycle, trying to move that out of the fast lane. And southbound 15 at the westbound 78 connector ramp. A collision Jack in the Box is never not serving breakfast. That means you can pick up Jack's $5 big deal breakfast meal featuring a breakfast Jack, hash brown, and French toast sticks all morning, day, and night. Find one at a Jack in the Box near you. I'm Kelly Danik with Gwynn and Chris, San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan.
It's that time of the show when we check on the latest in sports. Only the most important topics and questions are brought to light.
Stop what you're doing and listen.
These news stories will astound and amaze you. The one, the only.
Oh my God, who the hell cares?
The Big Five starts now on 97.3 The Fan.
All right. The Big Five is brought to you by Summit Subaru of El Cajon. See all the 2 ways to save right now at summitsubaru.com. Let's get right into it because I feel like we're running out of time.
Number 5.
Portland Mayor-elect Keith Wilson is optimistic about his city's chances of landing a Major League Baseball franchise in the future. He told the Oregonian, quote, "I'd say this is as close as we've come. We feel confident it's down to us and one other city, and we're making a solid play." The speculation is that Nashville is the other city that is being considered for a Major League Baseball team. So, Tony, which city would you like to see Major League Baseball in, Portland or Nashville?
I like both.
I was going to say, where do you want to go?
I like both. I mean, you certainly like being on the West Coast, first and foremost. Both Portland used to have a AAA team. It used to be the Padres. Nashville still has one. I think Nashville's going to be tough to beat. They've been working on this since I was playing there, which was a long, long time ago. And so, Portland, they both have the infrastructure. They both have the populace. But I think Nashville has probably got a leg up. As for where I would like to see,
shorter flight to Portland.
That is a shorter flight to Portland. But I think Nashville's got better food, though.
And a better scene.
Oh, they got some ribs over there, Tony.
Oh, give me some meat.
I'll say Nashville.
Nashville. Chris, would you like to see Major League Baseball in Portland or Nashville?
I'm going to go for the West Coast, although I think if Portland gets it, they got to have a retractable dome, right?
Yeah,
it rains
for
way
sure.
too much up there. I mean, it'd just be every series there'd be a rain out. I also think I'd like to see Montreal get a team back. I think there
They've
should
already
be something.
had their team.
Yes, but they didn't lose it because of non-support. They lost it because of poor ownership and no place to play.
Okay.
But I think, I think the fan base up there was unfairly criticized for them leaving. And I think something... There ought to be something to a city that already had a franchise. Like Washington, D.C., I mean, they've given them 4 or 5 franchises, Skraby.
That's
true. I
true.
mean, the Senators, the Nationals, I mean, they kept trying until now it seems like it's finally stuck.
I mean, you can't have a baseball league not in your nation's capital. It would be un-American.
Well, it would be un-Canadian to not have one in Montreal.
Okay.
Number 4.
The Betor Angle, Betor, get it, is a gambling show on Odyssey's BetQL network. And over the weekend, Charles Barkley joined their show, and he was asked how he thought the Lakers handled Bronny this season. He said that they handled it awful. And then he said he knew that Bronny was going to play in Game 1 because of a conversation that he had with, Uh-oh. The clip I have, I don't know is the right clip. Oh, no.
When I heard that I thought I did something wrong over here.
This is
Behind Hurts.
Saquon Barkley, not Charles Barkley. I deleted the wrong one.
Wait, what is going on here?
Wrong one.
Wait, Saquon Barkley criticized the Lakers?
No,
Charles Barkley?
Charles Barkley
This is
did.
something Skraby could only accomplish right here.
Are you sure it was Charles Barkley or was it Gnarls Barkley, the music group?
This is great.
Good old Gnarls Barkley, huh?
I do. I remember when. Okay.
That's right.
Oh my God.
We're gonna have to come back to this question.
Yes,
I
we
gotta
are.
go get that from
We
the
are.
back.
You're gonna have to undeleted somehow.
I don't know how this is going to happen, guys, but you know what? Hold that thought.
Number 3.
I knew when I opened it and it was only 20 seconds, I was like, this is trouble. Guys, this is trouble.
I mean, Tony, don't you see the irony in the fact that he says, I don't know how to work equipment? I mean, you have to... There has to be at least some irony.
This has nothing to do with working the equipment. It has everything to do with me being an airhead and deleting the wrong clip.
That's working the equipment.
You're stretching it, sir. The NFL is all about giving out fines for celebrations
Now
these
he's scared
days.
he's gonna-
I am. I'm thinking, do I have what I need going into this? And the kneecap cannibal, Dan Campbell, is making sure the NFL knows what they're doing. By the way, I've been hearing a lot of people saying kneecap biter. If anyone ever says kneecap cannibal, that was invented on this show.
Yeah.
I've never heard anyone else say it.
No, we
I'm going
started
to claim it right now. But Dan Campbell is making sure the NFL knows what they are doing because Jamison Williams got an NFL fine of $19,697 after turning around and grabbing his crotch as he jumped into the end
good
zone.
old Marshawn Lynch celebration.
Like the hee as he's falling in. Well, turns out the NFL used that screenshot of him grabbing himself as their thumbnail on YouTube. So they fined him, but then used the events as a promotional tool. Here is Dan Campbell kind of letting the NFL knows he knows what's going on here.
It's gotten really fun, and the league lets it happen, which I think is fun for the fans.
Well, it depends on what that is, whether the league lets it happen, right? They'll use whatever they need to, the content, but keep going.
So there you go. And everybody knows he's calling out the NFL because of this, and then later on they put 2 and 2 together that this is what happened. So I'm not going to ask about the NFL here because they are hypocritical all the time. But, Tony, do you think Jamison Williams deserved a fine here? Have you seen the Patrick Mahomes fine that he got?
He got fined too for the shoot him up.
He didn't even do that.
He just kind of
he put the guns out. And
right. Yeah, no.
They're zero tolerance.
They don't want guns. They don't want thrusting.
They don't want grabbing.
They don't want
thrusting.
They
That's
don't.
true.
They don't. 2 pumps. That's all you get.
2 pumps.
What did Randy Moss get for imaginarily pulling down his pants?
He got a fine. He got a fine.
That's ridiculous.
Straight cash, homie. I believe is how he responded.
That's right. Do you think they should have fined Jamison Williams for
yes,
this
they
move?
got to fine him for. I mean, they fined Marshawn, who originated the Hold My celebration, and I think they had to be consistent in it. Now, you can make the argument now they shouldn't be turning around and using it to promote the game, the same picture that they're fining Jamison Williams for, but it is the NFL. This is what they do.
True. Chris, do you think they should have fined him for it?
I'd like to see the NFL fine themselves for using the photo and send the
real.
money to charity, because that's what really should happen here. But yeah, I mean, you know this, Skraby, as well as anyone. They have the uniform police who walk around before the game and fine you $10,000 because your sock isn't high enough on your calf.
Real quick,
to cover your legs.
Real quick, how infuriating would that be? You're like out there warming up, like getting serious, and the clothing police come
it's
over
actually,
and like,
I believe, former players that go around.
that's
so
even
it's a
worse.
little bit
They
easier.
sneak attack you. It's like, oh, hey man, good to see you. Yeah, that's gonna be $10,000. Your sock is too low.
Yeah, they roll up and they're like, "Hey, so good to see you, Lamar."
It's like the field officer at school in recess. It's like out there watching you. When same thing. You're out there having the best time of your life, and you're not thinking about your sock being down too low.
Yeah, the NFL is
$10,000.
That's crazy, but Dan Campbell
they had to
knows
fine
what's
him,
up. Yeah, they had to fine him. I wish Dan Campbell. Never mind. I'm not going to go down that route.
Number 2.
Rams wide receiver Demarcus Robinson in a serious story. He caught a touchdown on Sunday Night Football, and then he caught a charge by the California Highway Patrol. The NFL wide receiver was arrested early Monday morning on an LA freeway on suspicion of DUI after he was initially pulled over by cops for allegedly driving over 100 miles an hour. He also dropped his name, Tony. I know you love that.
Yeah.
I know you love
There's
it.
got to be another move besides that.
I don't know who, Demarcus Robinson, you're not big enough to drop your name.
That's the other problem. I mean, you're not the quarter. You're not any that guy. I don't know.
The policeman would go, Do you have any proof you're in the National Football League?
That would be the ultimate fear, though, is to say it and my man be like, "Yeah, man,
I don't
watch sports."
It was like when Jameson Williams got pulled over.
It's
the
all
one guy
bad.
didn't know who he was, and he was like, "Hey, I'm Jameson Williams." He's like, "Who?" It's got to be a bad feeling for Jameson Williams when no one knows who you are.
Just that sinking feeling. It's got to be what that
But
is.
anyway, he got a DUI, which is terrible, or suspicion of DUI, which is terrible. He also was driving over 100 miles an hour, driving erratically, which is why the police pulled him over. But Chris, do you think that NFL or professional athletes should be held more accountable for DUIs? Because what's going to happen most likely...
More accountable? What do you mean by that?
Suspend him immediately. I mean, they could prove what he could be like. Yeah, I was drunk. Suspend him immediately. Don't wait for the courts to play out. Don't do this whole thing where you wait until the off season where you can't get in trouble. This is a serious thing. Driving 100 miles an hour drunk is a very serious thing.
I'm not going to argue that. You know how I feel about this. We already had the whole Ray Rice discussion. We had the discussion. I'm sorry, Rasheed Rice. Thank you. We had the discussion about the kids at Georgia.
Yep.
Driving insane speeds, and I've talked about this many times. I know you don't like a carryover, but I need a lot more time than 10 seconds to really make a point.
I'm gonna need more
here.
time too, there, sir.
You guys.
I'm not trying to do a carryover, but we have another subject after this one.
We have two more, actually. I got to go find that.
But I think
Barkley.
I think you're bringing up a pretty good question. Is it time that the NFL or even other leagues stop hiding behind, well, let's just let the due process take its course and then we'll decide, and maybe start holding these guys more responsible for being in the public eye and behaving badly? I think it's an interesting question that deserves a little more exploration.
All right, you
Skraby.
sold me on the carryover then. You sold me.
So,
Maria
that's all.
says Henry Ruggs, too. I mean, yeah, there's been some
Henry
terrible
Ruggs.
incidents
Thank you,
as of
Maria.
late. And it's not just the NFL. It's not just professional athletes.
But that is what you asked about, son. So that's what we're going to focus on.
Yes.
Yeah.
People do this all over the place.
All over the world.
No, they don't drop their names, though. Like,
No, they don't. That's
excuse me, sir. I'm
just a bad,
DeMarcus
I think it's
Robinson.
just a bad play. It'd be different if the cop recognized you and then brought it up.
DeMarcus?
Right, that'd be different. But if you just kind of fishing for that, I just think it sets you up for failure.
Hey,
honestly.
officer, do you notice anything about that last name? He pulls out the football he scored a touchdown with earlier.
It doesn't seem like it's going to work out.
All right,
well.
we'll finish this up when we get back on 97.3 The Fan.
And welcome back to it. Final hour, happy hour. Final hour of the week, our Thanksgiving Eve show. No Gwynn and Chris tomorrow. So we're wrapping things up here this evening. If you're just tuned in on your way home, big doings in Las Vegas today for the Aztec men's basketball team. Brian Dutcher and company post a big one. They knock off 21st ranked Creighton today, and they did it impressively, 71-53. Mark Zeigler was on with us earlier from Las Vegas to help us break down a nice win for the Aztecs, who've had so many of these nice wins over the last decade or two. But they'll play Oregon tomorrow. Oregon also won today over Texas A&M. 5 o'clock football hour is presented by Buffalo Wild Wings, where B-Dubs is football. Visit Buffalo Wild Wings every Tuesday for buy one, get one half off traditional wings. And we were just in the middle of our Big Five, and I think Skraby had an interesting question, which is, not an everyday occurrence on this show, but it did happen today.
And I wonder why people ask you to be nicer to me.
I don't know why they would even think that. No, but I like this question, and I think it's something that we can definitely try to, take a little deeper look into, because
we've answered the question of why people think Chris should be nicer to you, and really that's not the case. They're not here with us the whole time, so they only get these little snippets from.
That's
you,
the
Chris.
answer.
That's
yes,
the answer.
That is the answer to that. But the answer
This is like
as to
our
whether or
game
not
we're playing. So, like every day, I bring my best game. So that's what they're seeing, is me bringing my best game every single day.
Call it what you want, Scrape.
Okay.
Well, you also told the story of how you screamed at some lady today after you let your dogs loose on her dog.
Exactly.
I still
Giving
feel
us a
bad
little.
about that.
That's the
Giving
same
us a
guy
little-
we're dealing with on a consistent basis.
Giving us a little window into your soul.
I
with that
do
story.
not ever
your soul.
confront people like this outside of radio.
Yeah, sure you do. Sure you do,
I
Scraby.
do not. I still feel bad. I might go sit on the bench waiting for her to walk by tomorrow so I could say, I'm sorry, but she's probably going to call police thinking he's waiting for me.
I think she will.
Could be. But speaking of arrests, you're talking about pro athletes and whether maybe they should be held to a little higher standard. Your latest example of this Rams wide receiver, DUI potentially.
Yeah.
100 miles an hour driving and being pulled over, and normally the response from teams, the Rams in this case, is, well, let's just let due process play out, and in the meantime, everything's kind of forgotten. And should that change? And I think it's a tricky question, because the very basis of what we're founded on in this country is that you're innocent until proven guilty. And I just don't know, as much as I would love to be, where I sit on my lawn, Skraby and Tony. I mean, I'd love to see all of this stuff cleaned up. I don't think we can mandate all of a sudden, because an athlete gets accused of something, they are then suspended while we wait and find out. I don't think that that's a step that the leagues can take.
I understand that. I do. I remember the LaShawn McCoy situation years
Can I
and years
answer
ago.
first before you give your?
Sorry,
your,
I forgot. I thought you were. It's the Eve, okay?
I agree with Chris. And there's one incident that in particular that still bothers me to this day, because I think initially we handled it right, but I think long term we got this one wrong. And that's the Matariza thing, right?
That's
Everybody was so quick to jump out and, because we weren't getting a lot of information, as opposed to just being patient. Because in the regular world, let's say, Jimmy Smith gets accused of something, or a DUI. In his circle of life, it's probably happening, but the same due process plays out for him as it does said athlete, right? The difference is said athlete's in our face every week, and so we constantly are thinking about it. And a few months go down the line, and then he's judged one way or the other, and we all move on from it. So I don't know that due process isn't upheld. I don't know that these athletes aren't being held to that standard when they go out and drive and get a DUI. Certainly, there are some cases in which an athlete has been given special treatment, right? I don't think we can deny that. But I think for the most part, I think the scrutiny on these things are so big and massive now that law can't afford to necessarily give someone a pass on that one. The guy for the Raiders, he ended up killing someone.
Yes.
He's going to go to jail.
Yeah, he's already
he's
there.
in jail, right?
But, yeah, go ahead.
And so for this one, Jameson Williams gets or not Jameson Williams.
DeMarcus
Robinson gets a DUI. His due process will play out, and if he's guilty, he'll have to do whatever it is they do. It may come that it's after the season because that's just the normal due process time. On the flip side, there's a player in New England that's going through it right now.
Peppers.
He's not being given any special treatment on this one, and he's having
he has a much more
bigger
serious
deal.
accusation.
Exactly. But I'm saying these things are as Chris said, the way our process work, these things don't happen in light speed most of the time. I just think where we're at in society and how we want things pretty quickly, I think that feeds into this.
What about, okay, I totally get that, and I want the same grace extended to me if I ever get in trouble with innocent until proven guilty. But like with things like DUI, I think it's a little bit easier for teams to realize that, yes, there is going to be something to happen, because DeMarcus Robinson could be like, yes, I was drunk.
Is that what he said?
No, I don't know.
If he ends up saying that, then I would agree with your case. But I'm willing to bet that most dudes don't just come out and say, "Yeah, I was drunk."
Yeah, no, they don't.
I don't even think most people who are not athletes come out and just say, "Yeah, I was drunk." They're gonna fight it somehow, some way.
And we're getting on the chat some baseball situations like Marcelo Ozuna, Trevor Bauer, but I think baseball, NFL, NHL, NBA are all very different in the way they handle things.
Yeah.
Can I also
remember Major League Baseball instituted that rule where they could suspend you.
The commissioner's exempt
list because of, I forget what the incident was. I think it was the kid from the closer at the time from the Astros. And they didn't move on it. They caught backlash. So they went ahead and put a rule in which they could. If the NFL does that, then hey.
I think they do have an exempt list, but it takes a lot for Roger Goodell to go down that road because he wants all teams to handle it on their own, kind of.
Yeah.
I have my biggest pet peeve of this is, I know the DUI is awful. I'm tired of people driving over 100 miles per hour and endangering other people that way.
Yeah.
Now, and in this case, I mean, if I don't know, do you have a case against the state or the officers, the police who pull you over for driving that fast? Can you say, no, I don't know? Is there any due process that needs to take place?
They have to have a radar, a live radar on you. I mean, listen, again, these aren't incidents that are just specific to athletes. We literally talk on our show every other week about the crazy drivers that we are dealing with up and down.
It's getting worse.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, this is again, the athletes are a little bit under a brighter light, and with that comes more responsibility. Maybe Joe Smith doesn't have to have.
And where should we have come down on the Tyreek Hill thing, which, by the way, I believe came to a conclusion today because the officer didn't show up at the court. So Tyreek's been forgiven of all of that. But we all saw the video of what happened. It was all pretty awful to watch. However, prior to that, they did catch him or clock him going over 110 miles an hour in a, wasn't even a freeway zone.
I don't know that they ever could prove that.
Well, all right.
I thought
he was certainly died driving recklessly. I think
I thought that incident was because he was trying to get into an area that they deemed he couldn't get into when they yanked him out of the car.
There's a lot of stuff going on there.
Tyreek has had a few run-ins, so I don't know if this was part of what the week one Chris is talking about is part of a different one, but if I recall correctly, he was trying to get into the parking lot of his team side. Police didn't recognize him. That led to, some words, and, Tyreek wasn't completely innocent in how he handled his part of it. But, yeah, I think, these situations are unique in some ways, but they also aren't. This is kind of what happens in regular walks of life all the time.
Adam on the chat said, you guys are forgetting about how the NFL used to suspend a la Ray Rice, where they gave him, I think 2 games, and they did it rather quickly. But I think the problem with the Ray Rice thing was that they gave him 2 games, and it should have been 8 games or 10 games.
Right. They gave him 2 games, and that video popped up, and everybody got to see it.
So I can see why Adam is saying that, because the NFL doesn't want a situation like that to happen. But I feel like drinking and driving can be somewhat figured out by teams. Like, these guys have Uber accounts that they could use from the NFL. The NFLPA has a whole thing going on with drunk driving. Don't do it. Call this number. So there's plenty of ways to not drive drunk, and people make mistakes, and I'm not going to come down hard on DeMarcus Robinson for making a mistake. If it happens again, then that's a whole different story. But I want people.
With all due respect, Skraby, I don't think
this one hits a little close to home for you, Skraby. I could tell.
It does.
Well, it does. It does, but I don't think you should also. I think you can come down hard. If somebody is actually found, guilty of a DUI, the same way as if they're found guilty of driving recklessly over 110, 20 miles an hour, like I seem to see on the freeway all the time, I have no problem throwing, every book I can at these people. Because they're endangering themselves and doing something stupid. But if you want to do something stupid yourself, that's your business. I just don't like the fact that it endangers so many other people around you.
I think
that's the part that I have a trouble with.
The key part you said was, if you are found guilty of those things,
that's right.
Then it's easier to proceed with all of this. I just, I bring up the Matt Ariza thing because he basically lost 2-3 years of his young career to something that he wasn't even in the building for. And I say a lot of people jumped out there and found him guilty before anything was ever even proven. And I think that's as bad as the opposite of that.
Now he's going to win a Super Bowl because he's with the Chiefs.
He is.
So things did
worked
work out
for
him.
For
and I'm
sure.
glad they worked out since he was not involved in that situation. But anyway, I don't think we have enough time for the other ones because this was such an enthralling conversation.
Enthralling.
But basically, Charles Barkley said that the Lakers were embarrassing in the way they handled Bronny. I'm not saying this, Tony, to bring you down, but Charles had some spicy words.
I have some issues with it too that have popped up.
Go ahead, please tell.
I don't like that they're not letting them play road.
Yeah, they're only
games.
letting him play home games.
I just feel like you're only making it more difficult for him. Like,
you're giving
people
him.
Wait, that's true, Tony. He doesn't travel with the G League team.
No, as of right now, he's not playing any road G
Why?
League game.
Because it's too much attention on him?
They didn't give a reason. I don't know the reason, but I think you're not doing Bronny any favors in terms of perception and, quite frankly, allowing him to get some consistent minutes. Like going to play a home game for the South Bay Lakers and then sitting on the bench and watching. And I know you can garner a lot from watching, the guys who are at the NBA level, but I'm sure at this point he can garner a whole lot getting some minutes and playing in the game.
And feeling the road crowd and trying to play in a different situation.
Yeah, I as well as I thought J.J. Redick handled it when he was up, I don't know that the organization is handling it as well, unfortunately. We'll see.
All right, well, there we go.
Boom.
Thanks, guys.
See you, Chris.
He got to play with his dad. That was cool. Wasn't that the whole whole point of the thing?
Charles did say it was amazing. He also said that he knew that was going to happen because he did a whole thing with Ken Griffey Jr. Like, he filmed something with him before the basketball season
was
even
like
started.
He was going?
Yeah, he's like, oh, my dad and I are going to be going to the Lakers opening game. And Charles is like, yeah, that's because Bronny's going to play.
They ain't even made the rosters yet.
Yeah. So, there you go.
All right, we got a special edition of Chris versus the Fans. We had to skip it earlier because of an interview. So, Maybe you've always wanted to play Chris versus the Fans. You've always been at work. Maybe you're home from work now. You can play. 833-288-0973. It's next after traffic.
From the
to we need to get right to it. Chris versus the fan coming your way. Looks like Memphis about to get another win in Maui over Michigan State. Let's get to Gwynn versus Chris versus the fan.
If you had one shot, one opportunity to take down the human almanac himself,
howdy do.
Now is your time.
Listen to me, this guy is dangerous.
Now is your opportunity to win a prize.
Well, I hope you know what you're in for.
Chris versus the fans starts now on 97.3 The Fan.
By the way, the other teams in this Players Era tournament, right? This is the one
Players Era, yeah.
Alabama and Houston, 9 and 6 in the country.
Yeah.
So
big teams to go through.
Aztecs.
If the Aztecs get their $500,000, they're going to earn it.
Yeah, for sure.
They better be ranked too.
1.5 million, right?
I don't know.
I think it was $1 million and then possibly 1.5.
Yeah. Yeah, right. Yeah.
I'll take a small chunk of that, please.
I'll take a little piece too.
All right.
Skraby, you better read the prize because otherwise the game's going to be over. We're not going to have time.
You will be qualified for a chance to win our grand prize, a 2-night stay at Westgate, Las Vegas, 2 tickets to Soul of Motown, and $150 food and beverage credits. The award-winning Soul of Motown is a high-energy concert-style musical tribute celebrating Motown legends. This is a must-see show during your Las Vegas vacation getaway. Tickets at westgateresorts.com. Also, you will win a pair of tickets to Saturday's San Diego State football game versus Air Force. Get tickets now at goaztecs.com. Now the rules. You have to make it through 3 questions. Each question will get more difficult. If you get the question right, you move on. If you get it wrong and Chris gets it right, you're eliminated. But if Chris gets it wrong, then you move on to the next question or you win. If you're a first-time player! I changed the cadence on that one.
Yeah, you did. You messed up.
You let us know before you get into it because you'll get that first question for free today. We're playing the honesty system, and Chris vs. the Fans is presented by SD Fat Loss. Lose 20 to 30 pounds in just 60 days. Visit sdfatloss.com to schedule your free consultation. All right, let's get our first contestant on the phone. Let's go with... I think it's Hazel. Hazel, are you there? Anybody who knows a Hazel?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, it's Asael.
What's your name? Asael. All right.
Yeah, that's right.
All right, you ready to play?
Yeah, and I'm a first-time player.
First-time player!
All right, here we go.
Second question.
We're getting a little punchy, everybody.
Adrian Peterson was the last running back to win NFL MVP. Who was the running back that won in 2006? Random year.
2006. I'm just going to guess. LaDainian Thomas.
LT.
Believe
nice
it.
Job.
Now, are you a San Diegan?
Yes, I was born in Tijuana, but most of my life here in San Diego.
Okay, yeah, you
Very
should.
good.
You should know that one. Good answer. Here we go.
That's a good one.
Hold on.
By the way, guys, that is known as the greatest and highest scoring fantasy football season of any player ever.
It was
He was amazing.
LT.
You better have won your league if you
I think he had
him on
100
your team.
catches that year too. To
Oh,
go
yeah.
along
31 touchdowns.
That's insane.
Yeah.
Come on in and tell me I sent you.
I forgot about that. All right, here we go. Question number 3. That's a great pull right there, buddy. Who is the active leader with 90-plus yard rushing touchdowns in the NFL?
Yes. Most instances of 90-plus yard touchdowns.
Whoa.
Active.
Right. Derrick Henry?
Derrick Henry is correct! Wow. Nice
Just made
job.
mincemeat of this game.
Mincemeat is right.
2
Hang
questions.
on the line.
Got them both right. Hang on the line.
Wow.
I have to say, although it's a good third question, it's probably if you pay attention to football at all, this is probably the easiest 3 question. Nobody's going 90 except Derrick Henry.
There was someone.
How many does he have? Like 4?
3 or 4, yeah.
Yeah.
Let me look again because I was looking on football.
He was kind of
Reference
running
for
like
this.
a madman last night too. Like I wouldn't have wanted to get in his way.
No.
He had a $140 last night.
My guy Mac wasn't too impressed looking at his comments after the game.
Well, Khalil Mack lost, so
just saying.
Oh, what did Khalil say? He's not that big of a deal.
I mean, he kind of
Why
insinuated
do people continue to do this when they get beat? Just be quiet.
It's not
the
that
timing
hard.
is not right.
Like, you don't get to talk when you lose.
No,
Like
George
George
Pickens,
Pickens.
same thing. Come on,
You gotta
George,
be quiet.
Just take it.
Or you
lost
look like
one.
a sore loser, really, is what you look like.
Browns aren't that good of a team. I know they just beat us, but they're not that good of a team.
If the weather was different, it would have been a different
And the other
outcome.
thing about Derrick Henry is every single person who follows the NFL honestly thinks he's really good.
Yeah.
So for you to come out after the game and try to say, "Well, he's no big deal," I mean, it makes you look like you're not with it.
All right, we're getting to this college football top 25. Colorado falls 9 spots to 25. Kansas State at 24. Illinois at 23. And we'll keep you updated as they continue to go down the line. But
they're milking this thing.
they are. They got to get to 6 o'clock.
I don't care who number 22. UNLV
22 at 9-2. Boise State's gonna slide up. Certainly this year they'll be in that bye spot. Right now I'm not disappointed with what the playoff is showing me. Now, what the end result will be might make me feel different. We'll see.
Missouri number 21.
A&M 20. All right, let's
riveting, guys. Riveting. Count it down.
Wait. Hold on. 19's coming up.
Let's get to break. let's get to break. On the other side, if you missed Mark Zeigler, you get a chance to hear him next on Gwynn and Chris. the college football playoff. Indiana at 10, SMU at 9, Tennessee at 8, Alabama fell outside. They're 13. Ole Miss 14, South Carolina 15, Boise State at 11. Clemson is the 12th seed right now. So they're working their way up top. It'll be interesting to see where this top of this list, which really didn't have a ton of movement. There were no Georgia moved up 3 spots to 7. So they're getting closer and closer to being back in that top 5. They very well could finish with one of those byes.
Where are you guys at with Carson Beck?
I'm not impressed.
Yeah, I get that
I
feeling.
think that's part of the reason why they're 7 right now and not higher.
He has a lot of he does throw a lot of interceptions, but I feel like he should have came out and went pro last year because he didn't know himself no good this year. He would have been a higher draft pick last year.
You think so?
He was pretty good.
Who were the quarterbacks taken last year?
Oh, I mean, there was many great
There were
ones.
good
Jaden
ones.
Daniels,
Drake May.
Caleb Williams, Drake May. He would have been after all those guys, but
Bo Nix.
Oh, he's probably thinking to himself, a big year here. I can be one of the top guys taken in this
but
one.
He's not having a big year.
No.
The only thing he gets is a big yelling at from
Kirby Smart
all the time. After every interception he throws, I swear Kirby Smart brings him over and goes, "Boy, what the hell were you thinking?"
That does sound
Or
like
that
Kirby.
looks like that's what it looks like he's saying anyway.
Boy, what the
It
hell?
does sound like a Georgia football coach. Oh, Jesse Agler's going to be happy. Miami is number 6.
Jesse's been feeling pretty good all season. Miami at number 6. 3 ACC teams in it currently right now, which no one thought. Here's the kicker. If Notre Dame finds a way to lose this game against SC, that'll I bet you that puts them out. And now you have
That would open another spot.
That would open up a whole other spot as we get closer and closer to the end of the season. This
agree.
the last week? 2 weeks left?
No, I think this is the last week, then I think Army and Navy maybe play the next week, but I don't think there's any more.
Auburn, Alabama.
Oh, there's
play this
championship games.
Oh yeah, we got the championship games.
You got the
That'll happen in a
championship
bit.
games. Yeah, you got that. So
Penn
there's
State
still a little ways to go.
Penn State at 4, so I'm assuming with no other movement, it's going to be Texas 3. Who was 2 last week?
Ohio State,
and then Oregon.
Yeah, Oregon. I'll tell you one thing. I think the worst team in the top 10 is Penn State. They've shown
There's a lot
me
of people
nothing
that
this
agree
year.
with you on that.
What have they done? Other than get boat raced at home by Ohio State, they played a weak schedule and they've not lost. Well, okay.
Some are
but
saying
they're not. I don't think they're that good.
Some are saying the same about Texas. The teams that they have played, they've lost to, and I think their next. They have one more big. Oh, they have A&M next. For the one of their last
that
match.
can build their resume.
Right, but if they lose though, they will have lost to all of the teams that were good, and the rest of their schedule is kind of cupcakeish.
I'm not impressed with Penn State at all. I'm just, maybe they'll prove me wrong, but I'm pretty sure with that coach, they will not prove me wrong. So, not worried about it.
Fair
What's
enough.
his name? James Franklin?
Yes, James Franklin.
Yeah.
James is kind of
How did Arizona State sneak in here? I haven't heard about them all year.
Well, they're about to win the Big 12.
They sure are.
The Big 12. That's so weird to say.
Colorado losing last week
opened it
up for them now. So they just got to take care of business. I don't know who their last game is against. Is it against Arizona? I mean, it's a weird
rivalry week.
They play at Arizona. If they win that, they're going to be in the championship. But I'll say one thing, their fans better certainly learn how to celebrate. You have to wait till the clock actually runs out.
Oh, yeah.
Did you see that?
They had to put the goalpost back up.
They tore the goalpost down and had to put them back up.
Are we getting dumber as a society?
Skraby, I'm telling you, man, you made this point earlier. I think we very well might be.
It just doesn't make any sense.
Are we getting dumber as a society?
I think we always were under understanding. When it hits zeros,
That's
could go.
the time.
You could go. If it doesn't hit zeros yet, you can't go early.
The university president is like, no, we're going to get fined.
All right. Let's get to our interview of the day. You'll get some traffic first, but Mark Zeigler joined us after the Aztecs' impressive victory against Creighton. Coming up.
From the 97.3 The Fan Traffic Center, here's Kelly Danick.
Traffic is sponsored by the Mini Donut Company. We still have a few problems out here, guys. One is a stalled vehicle in the slow lane south on 125 before Hammershaw. Also, eastbound 8 past El Cajon Boulevard. There is a collision in the middle lanes. And in the North County on the Ted Williams Parkway on-ramp to northbound 15, a crash. Seeking the perfect treat for the holidays? Try the Mini Donut Company. With rotating, seasonal, and classic flavors, the Mini Donut Company offers the perfect bite-sized indulgence for your office or holiday gathering. Visit getminidonuts.com and order from UTC, Point Loma, or Carlsbad. I'm Kelly Danick with Gwynn and Chris, San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan.
Joining us on Gwynn and Chris, Mark Zeigler joins us, San Diego Union Tribune. And Mark, you didn't really know what to expect. I thought the Aztecs held their own against Gonzaga. They are obviously undermanned, but to come out and apply the pressure physically, we saw a lot of the things that's made this program so special over the last 10, 15 years. We saw that today in a group that hasn't spent much time with each other.
Yeah, on the one hand, you look at this result and you see them beating a ranked Creighton team by 18 points. You're a little surprised, and then you think about it, and we shouldn't be because it's in Las Vegas. There's something about this program in Las Vegas. Maybe it's just because they play here all the time. It was the 75th time they played in this city in the last 15 plus seasons, 15 seasons in 3 games. So it's like 5 times a year that they're playing here. And so they're just the staff, the players, the fans, everyone's just very, very comfortable here. It's close. And Vegas is a weird place. It has an effect on kids, I think, because there's nothing like it in the world. And for kids that are, 2 players are from Vegas on the roster, they're used to it. And it showed. They look really, really comfortable out there.
Mark, I saw the Gonzaga game and I really wasn't disappointed. I mean, I didn't expect them to be able to run with Gonzaga, especially with Reese Waters out, and Miles Bird was clearly hampered in that game. But there's something, and you go to these practices, there's something that happens with this program behind the scenes that we don't see, that they can come out a week after losing to Gonzaga or, 8-9 days later and just seem like they've improved so dramatically. I mean, so maybe this is just what we should expect almost every time.
Yeah, it was interesting, 8 days of practice. They didn't practice all 8 of them. I think they practiced 6 of those 8. But I went to a few of those practices, and they, usually once you get into the season, you're doing drills, drill work, and then you're going up against the scout team. And the scout team is actually, very good at San Diego State, but it's not like going up against each other, going up against scholarship versus scholarship players and going really hard. And this week they did a lot of that. I mean, they went at each other and they went hard, and they did a lot of segments in practice where they were just going first. They mixed the first 2 groups up and they would go at each other, it really seemed to help them turn a corner. I mean, they really toughened up, got used to the speed of the game a little bit more. And again, it's something you don't usually see coaches do, but it was a tactical decision by Coach Dusher and his staff, and it really showed. You saw a lot of growth in the last 8 days.
Mark Zeigler joins us here, San Diego Union Tribune. And Mark, Chris mentioned Miles Bird being out for that Gonzaga game, and for a lot of the Aztecs teams, we tend to focus on some of the older guys, but Miles Bird, he had it going, especially early in that second half. Hit 2 threes, it kind of pushed that lead a little bit. He seems like a guy that wants to be in a position where Dutch and that staff trust him with the ball to be able to provide some offense. He seems like he's more than a willing participant in being that guy.
Yeah, no, he really, really wants that role, just like you said. He sort of craves it. It's just part of his personality. And he does so much. His length causes so many problems to people that just having that extra body out on the floor and the kinds of things that he can do really changes the game and changes the dynamics. He gets in passing lane, tips the ball. You saw he made a huge block today against Pop Isaac late in the game. Little things like that, again, they just add up. Nick Boyd's the leader on this team, but Miles Bird is a leader too. And so when you got 2 leaders on the floor, it just adds to it.
Aztecs beat Creighton today 71-53 in Las Vegas. That's where Mark Zeigler is, joining us here on 97.3 The Fan. Mark, how excited should I get, if let's say I pick up the paper tomorrow and I didn't know and I read your story and I read the result and I see we beat a ranked team, and so should I get excited or how tempered should I be that they won a big game like this early in the season?
Well, a couple things. First of all, if you're an Aztec fan, now you become a huge Creighton fan, and Creighton's hurting a little bit. They didn't have Stephen Ashworth, their point guard. They got to turn around tomorrow and play a Texas A&M team that just lost, is going to be angry, super athletic, not real big, but really, really athletic and tough. And then they're going to have a third game in this tournament against somebody good, and then they play Kansas. So this is a team that could go in the tank, and you don't want them to, because you want them to hold some sort of standing and keep their metrics up so that this is a quality win going into March. That's the biggest thing for San Diego State is when you looked at the schedule and you looked at them being young, being new, and not having Reese Waters, and started thinking, man, these 4 games in a row here, Gonzaga, and the 3 in this tournament, you lose them all. Okay, it's no great problem because you still can have plenty of time to get better, but you don't have a quality win. You don't have that resume win. I think this is probably a resume win, and it takes a lot of pressure off. And now, like Dutch said afterwards, he said, we're going to get greedy and go for 2 and then maybe go for 3. They have great opportunity here. If they beat Oregon, they're in the championship game. And not only does that help with your resume, but you get an extra, if you win this thing, you get an extra $500,000 into your NIL kitty, which for some schools probably doesn't matter, but for San Diego State, it really matters. When they have $1 million total in NIL and they're already going to get $1 million here and could get $1.5 million. So there's a lot to play for.
That is such an interesting part of this particular tournament. It can help a school like San Diego State in such a big way. You could see why guys are, you would want to have your best foot forward in this tournament. Mark, last time we spoke, there hadn't been really a lot of games around the Mountain West Conference in terms of the teams there. Now you're starting to get some games. I see Utah State's 5-0. What is the rest of this conference looking like in the early going, aside from San Diego State?
There's been pretty good results so far. New Mexico beat UCLA. That was positive. Boise State beat Clemson. Pretty good. That was good. They just reached the final of the tournament there, and it's not a very good tournament, but they're still in the final. Nevada's had some good wins. Like you said, Utah State undefeated, hasn't really been tested yet. We'll see how they do when they get tested. But you've got 5 pretty good teams, and that's going to help the metrics. The problem with the Mountain West this year is the bottom 4 is not very good. And when you're looking at a San Jose State and Air Force, Wyoming, Fresno State, those are going to drag down your metrics, and particularly if you lose to them or you just don't beat them by that much. And it's a long season, and you're going to hit a bad night, and if you happen to lose one of those teams, it's an anchor on your resume. So that's going to be the problem in the Mountain West. So it's encouraging to see, 4 or 5 teams that are playing pretty well that can sort of help things along in terms of when we get to Selection Sunday.
Mark, I wanted to sneak back to the game today a little bit. One thing I noticed on the stat sheet was that B.J. Davis and Nick Boyd combined for 15 rebounds. That's pretty impressive for your backcourt. One guy, B.J. had 9, and your point guard gets 6 rebounds. Let's talk a little bit about, the all-around backcourt. I mean, with Miles Bird included, is that going to be kind of what we lean on this year? Or can we expect some nights where the interior guys are able to take over a little bit more?
That's a really good point because, if you look at this team last year to this year, last year it was, get inside, get it to Jaden Ledee, and it was much more of a paint-centric team. This team is all about its backcourt. I mean, you've got 4 bigs, and they're young, they're talented, but they're not big scorers, and they're not going to shoulder the scoring burden and really a lot of the rebounding burden either. Jaden Ledee was a double-double machine, and you're not going to see that out of a big this year. And so when you have a guard get 9 rebounds, and here's the thing about B.J. Davis getting 9 rebounds, no one in that locker room is surprised. He's probably their best rebounder. He's definitely their best inch for inch, pound for pound rebounder, but he might be the best rebounder on the team. He just has a knack and anticipation. He reacts. If you watch him, if you watch them play and you watch in a defensive set and just watch him and you watch the shot go up, watch how quickly he reacts. He's the first guy to react to the ball. He just has an innate sense of where it's going to go, and he starts moving, and he collects a lot of rebounds that way. And Nick Boyd has had games already this season where he's shown he can rebound too. So when you have that from your guards, it really, really takes pressure off the bigs, allows them just to box out and let other guys go and get it.
That's funny, Mark. I envision Dennis Rodman on that documentary where he's talking about the ball bouncing off the rim and it's going bing, bing, boom. He's kind of in that spot. That's kind of what I saw when you were talking about B.J. Davis. Aztecs will take on Oregon tomorrow as they continue to get these games under their belt and try to stack some impressive wins. Mark, as always, appreciate your time, man.
Okay, we'll talk to you guys.
Mark Zeigler on Gwynn and Chris there to end the week for us in our show. The 5 o'clock football hour is presented by Buffalo Wild Wings, where B-Dubs is football. Visit Buffalo Wild Wings every Tuesday for buy one, get one half off traditional wings. All right, before we go, Chris, we've already got a good piece, a soundbite from Mr. Charles Barkley. Today they are joined by today Charles is joined by Ernie, Shaq, and Jalen Rose is sitting in for Kenny Smith. But this is the first time they've been able to talk. Remember, Charles Barkley was a former 76er, so this is the first time they've been able to talk about this Joel Embiid situation. Here's what Chuckster had to say.
Chuck, what do you think about what's happening with Embiid right now with the Sixers? Well, the noise surrounding his name.
Well, we talked about that today on the podcast. You can't be late all the time.
Which is called the Steam Room, by the way, and it's available where you get your podcast.
He's a long steamer.
Yeah, I'm a long-time steamer. As a matter of fact, I put eucalyptus in mine.
That's right. That's right. You cannot be late all the time. That's disrespectful to your teammates and your coaches and everybody. You can't be late. So first, Joel has to own that. But whoever leaked that to the press needs to be punched in the face. In a team meeting, those are sacred, Ernie. You can't tell out secrets in a team meeting. Now, like I say,
maybe somebody has been punched in the face, but that didn't get out yet.
Yeah, no. But I'm saying though, when you're in those meetings, they're very personal. Especially when you call out a guy like that. Like I say, Joel has to own being late all the time. He has to own that. But that should have never gotten to the press.
In this era we live in, that's never going to happen.
Shaq, you know, if y'all had a team meeting, a guy accused you of something,
social media always got out.
No, but it should not. It should not, Shaq.
Jim Gray, how you doing?
Shaq's that line. Every one of those team meetings, it seemed like the Lakers were having in that three-peat or that the attempt to three-peat run was leaked, and we knew everything that was going on. So, but. You know, Charles is always going to keep it a buck. He certainly said Embiid should be held accountable, but whoever leaked it needs to be punched in the face. I think a lot of people.
He also said last week that Embiid ought to get his butt out on the court and play and stop complaining about the fact that, you know,
that's why
whatever.
That's why it means
because
something coming from Charles, because he actually is holding it to him.
That's right. Barkley said, "Look, I mean, we are playing a game, and you're getting paid tens of $millions to go out and play. Stop announcing that you're going to sit out games.
Yeah.
If you have to, then you're out.
So be it.
But don't make a big production out of the fact that you're going to just go ahead and arbitrarily miss games.
You know, we talked
bad.
We talked a little bit about Malone, the head coach for Denver earlier. I don't know if you saw Jamal Murray's comments, but he was asked after the game about the performance, and he said things that had my eyebrows perked up. He said something along the lines of, well, you know, we got a bunch of guys because they had just beat L.A., right? You got a bunch of guys who live in L.A. and, you know, stay there, and, you know, they got other things going on in their life. And
it doesn't make sense.
It doesn't make sense because here's why it doesn't. I know this probably catches you by surprise because I usually am a defender of players, but I don't respect, unlike most people who have a 9-to-5 all year round. You know, you get some days off for holidays. For the athletes, they play for a 6-month period, and then they get a bunch of time off. So you can divide up your time. But once the season starts, that is your job. You got to be there, and you need to be on point. It's one thing to be a professional, get an opportunity to play as a professional, but to be a pro is how you conduct yourself. And I don't think we don't have enough professionals conducting themselves as pros right now, in my opinion.
What a way.
I think that should be the mic drop for the week right there, Skraby.
Boom. Have a great Thanksgiving, everybody.
Everybody, Tony, have good oxtail.
Oh, I can't
wait. Show up next.
Two of the NFL's premier organizations